Starting to feel bad for Joe Biden? Sorta. Are we going to play his gaffes anyway? Of course.
My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate. Now we need to stand behind Jamie Harrison, the next president, next senator. I'm looking forward to appointing the first African-American woman to the United States Senate. Just like here in California, here in Nevada. Back in the spring, late fall, late spring, late winter, early fall. Anyway, you know what I mean. Look! Tomorrow's Superstar Tuesday. I tell you what, I'm rushing ahead, aren't I? We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing. It says you cannot have 20, 30, 40, 50 clips in a weapon. We'll see who's sleepy.
Mr. Vice President, thank you.
All right, Chuck. Thank you very much.
All right. It's Chris.
Sometimes I wake up and I think it's 1920 and not 2020.
It's story time with Grace Curley. Tell me the story about Trump being at Ernie Bach's.
It was my first real big event with Howie. I got to go and I got to sit at the table with Howie while he was interviewing Ernie Bach and all these people. And then when Trump showed up, I had told the audience the day before that I was going to try to get a selfie with him. But Trump came upstairs to this little clubhouse that Ernie Bach has. And it was so hot because there were so many people in there that he walked up, and all of these people, I think, thought they were going to get a picture with him or something. He walked up, he said hi to everyone, and he said, "It's so hot in here. Let's go outside and have some fun." And he left. Then I spent the rest of the event trying to get a...
She's the Boston Herald's wittiest wordsmith, the last woman standing at the Whiskey Priest. Once a very legitimate magazine that we definitely didn't make up named her the Michael Jordan of radio. Wait, don't you think we're laying it on a little thick here, Grace?
Just stick to the script.
Oh, okay. Live from the Aviva Trattoria studio, it's the Grace Curley Show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Grace Curley Show. Thank you so much for being here. Oh, my God, we already have such a great crowd. I am blown away by the listeners. They really showed up and showed out, and they're all here, and we're going to have a great day. We're at the 110 Grill in Woburn, and it's a little... It's a wonderful spot to be, and it's already a little bit crowded in here. I'm a little blown away. You can come down, get a free book, get a nice drink for yourself, a delicious meal, and we're going to have a great time. There are a lot of things I want to talk about today, and it is June 18th. Tomorrow is Juneteenth, officially a federal holiday, and it's the Emancipation Day, the celebration of the emancipation of African Americans who were enslaved. And what I'm noticing right now, based off my sound cuts and based off what I've been seeing in the news these past couple days, is there seems to be this conflation that is happening with the press and what they're trying to do now. Because if you guys have noticed this, parents in America have really stood up over the last couple months against a couple things. They've stood up against the mask mandates, and they've recently really been making their voices heard against critical race theory. I can't turn on the radio, I can't turn on my TV without hearing about critical race theory. Now, President Donald Trump wanted to make Juneteenth a federal holiday. There was no complaints from Donald Trump about that, or really conservatives. A lot of conservatives wanted to mark that day. And so now what's happening, whether you listen to Joy Reid or Chris Cuomo, which I'm getting the vibe that nobody here really does, but they're trying to say that people who are against critical race theory are racist bigots who don't want their kids to learn about slavery. And that couldn't be further from the truth. I learned about slavery when I was in school. I think all of you did too. But the difference is what critical race theory is. It's teaching these kids to hate themselves. And when you see these parents, I want to play a cut here. This is an Illinois parent, and he's talking about critical race theory. And he's a black man, and he's explaining how it's not good for these kids. It goes against what Martin Luther King Jr. wanted. Let's do cut 15, please, Taylor.
When you talk about critical race theory, which is pretty much going to be teaching kids how to hate each other, how to dislike each other, that's pretty much what it's going to That's pretty much, I don't care what you say, it's pretty much what it's going to all come down to. You're going to deliberately teach kids, this white kid right here got it better than you because he white? You're going to purposely tell a white kid, oh, the black people are all down and suppressed. How do I have 2 medical degrees if I'm sitting here oppressed? How did I get, first of all, time out, because I only got 5 minutes now, 5 minutes. 2 medical degrees. No mom, no dad in the house. Worked my way through college. Sat there and hustled my butt off to get through college. You going to tell me somebody that looked like all y'all white folks kept me from doing that? Are you serious? Not one white person ever came to me and say, well, son, you're never going to be able to get nowhere because you know the black people. But guess what? What's sickening about this whole thing is what y'all doing right now is already something I do in my community right now to speak out against stuff, because black folks are getting told by other black folks, oh, you know you ain't going to be able to do nothing out there in the world because them white folks ain't going to let you get no, oh, you know you're not going to be able to do it here because you know, the white man going to keep you down. Well, how did I get where I am right now if some white man kept me down? How am I now directing over folks that look just like you guys in this room right now? How? What kept me down? What oppressed me? I worked for myself from off the streets to where I am right now. You gonna sit here and tell me this lie of critical race theory? Of this the reason why black folks can't get ahead because of white folks? Are you kidding me? This is what we come to now. I can't believe we even talking about this right now.
Now, here's the difference. That's a man who works for a living, who understands that you can get ahead in this country because it's the greatest country in the world. And then you have Don Lemon. And this is what Don Lemon is pushing to Chris Cuomo. There's something really amazing about Don Lemon and Chris Cuomo sitting together and talking about privilege, especially Chris Cuomo. Have you ever seen a more privileged person in your life? The guy was born on third base, thinks he hit a triple, and he's talking with Don Lemon about, you know, racism and bigotry and critical race theory. And listen to what Don Lemon said. This is cut. So all these parents who make their voices heard and say, I don't want my kids learning this. I want my kids learning that they grew up in the greatest country and they can achieve whatever they want to achieve. This is what Don Lemon has to say about those parents. Cut 6, please.
That's the whole thing about what privilege is that people don't like to have their pleasure interrupted, their peace interrupted. And so people think that it should be the way that it should be because they have been taught that in this country. But, you know, having people come to the realization, especially ancestors of slaves, that they were enslaved and that they were beaten, that they were sold, that they weren't able to accrue wealth, that they weren't able to go to school, they weren't able to go vote. You think that makes them feel good? So the folks on the other side, stop making it about you and be curious instead of judgmental.
The most judgmental people, I think, on planet Earth work at CNN. They are the most judgmental group of people I've ever seen. And I used to watch the clips from CNN and I would think to myself, how does anyone watch any of those programs? I had to sit through a Brian Stelter monologue the other day because I wanted to get one quote from him, and I wanted to write it down. And I kid you not, I almost ripped my hair out listening to this guy talk. But I'm not the only one, and I'm so happy about this because Joe Rogan was talking about this, and he was talking specifically about Brian Stelter and Don Lemon. And the truth is that no one is watching. They don't have any viewers. But you have to listen to these cuts here. This is Joe Rogan, the podcast king, bashing CNN. Cut 11, please.
Remember when CNN was talking about podcasters, about how, you know, that there's people on YouTube that get more views than a CNN show, as if it was some horrible thing. They didn't even understand the way they were describing it. They were describing it as if they're entitled to viewers.
That's right.
They were saying, there's people on YouTube right now that get more views than this show. This is because the market has spoken.
Right.
And your show's f***ing terrible.
That's exactly it. I'm not racist because I don't want to watch CNN and be told what a horrible person I am. I'm just someone who likes to spend my time watching things I like and enjoy. Let's play cut 12.
Brian Stelter's show keeps slipping and slipping and slipping in the ratings.
He's the worst. And you know what they do?
Same with Don Lemon. It's the same thing. Everybody knows that they're not real. They're not real humans.
And Joe, when you read those articles and you listen to those guys talk, Stelter's done this a number of times. There are segments where they're outright calling for censorship.
Yes.
They're like, hey, please deplatform the people who I don't like because, you know, they're saying things that are conspiracy theories. And by the way, they use that for anything. They use it so loosely.
And that's a part of the censorship issue that I don't get, because I always feel like if you disagree with someone and you think their points are terrible and you think their ideas stink, you should want them to have all the platforms to discuss their ideas because it gives you more material. And it shows people that your ideas are better. But Brian Stelter and Don Lemon, whether they're talking about critical race theory or Juneteenth or whatever their spin is on a subject, they don't want the other side. Let's play cut 13.
Brian Stelter talking to the press secretary saying, what are we doing wrong? What are we doing wrong? Like, hey, you're supposed to be a journalist.
And they wonder why they get no views.
But it's not even that. It's like they're obviously being told a certain amount of what to do. And, I mean, maybe he'd be an interesting guy if he had his own podcast. If he could just rely on his own personality and be himself. I don't know. I can't imagine doing that gig.
No, you're 100% right.
Any of those guys, that gig is a strange gig.
Yeah, it really is. And I just want to tell Joe Rogan that
There's no time for potato heads.
I don't think we should encourage Stelter to start his own podcast. Taylor, would you agree? I don't want that out in the universe.
He can go ahead if he wants. I'm not going to be a participant. I'm not going to be a listener.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll get many listeners. I mean, he's not getting a lot of viewers, and neither, it started with CNN, but it's also trickling into MSNBC. Nicole Wallace's ratings stink as well. We're going to talk a little bit about this. Also, the mayoral race in New York City is actually getting interesting because Andrew Yang is speaking a little bit of truth, which is very rare when it comes to Democrat candidates. So we'll get to that on the other side. We also have tons of stuff to get to. And if you guys want to come down here, John McCosh, our photographer, is getting here at 3. And there's another guy by the name of Howie Carr who's going to show up. So it's going to be a great show. We're having so much fun. It's going to be a fun summer Friday. Now, the Eden Pure has done it again. You know them for the Thunderstorm air purifier and Gen 40 space heater. These are high-quality products and way below what competitors charge, which is what I like. Now, Eden Pure has come out with the BioSpeed Clean Vac. This vac is so light, I can pick it up with one hand. No lugging a big piece of equipment around and no cords, which I love. The BioSpeed Clean Vac has no bag, so you can even save more money. And it's not just a vac, but it's a handheld device, too. This thing is really slick. You guys want to check it out. It easily comes apart, so you can use it on your sofa. And if you have pets, you're in luck because the BioSpeed Clean has a powerful 8,000 kPa suction to get up all that cat and dog hair. We couldn't believe how it sucked up pieces of cardboard left over from boxes that had just arrived at the studio. It really is a great vacuum, and you'll find yourself vacuuming more because it's not such a hassle to get it out of your closet. Stop lugging the heavy equipment around. Stop yanking the cord out. The BioSpeed Clean Vac is $200 less than competition's price, and shipping is free. Order now as inventory is very low. Go to EdenPure.com and click on the Grace banner. Put in code word GraceClean and save an additional $20. That's EdenPure.com and code word GraceClean. We'll be back. Don't go anywhere. This is the Grace Curley Show.
You can call her late for dinner. Just don't call her Gracie. It's the Grace Curley Show.
What impact do you think Russian interference had in the election?
I think it was one of the major contributors to the outcome.
Years from the 2016 election, and Hillary Clinton still can't accept the results. Take a listen.
You can run the best campaign. You can be the person who gets the nomination. You could lose. I believe he knows he's an illegitimate president. He knows.
The one thing that Trump is fearful of when it comes to his being president is that finally we will see how illegitimate his victory actually was.
This wasn't on the level. Flashing videos that appear and then disappear, and they're on the dark web and nobody can find them. It's like applying for a job and getting 66 million letters of recommendation and losing to a corrupt human tornado. So maybe there does need to be a rematch. I mean, obviously, I can beat him again. So, of course, he's obsessed with me.
Okay, boys and girls, gather round. It's story time with Grace Curley. Tell me the story of the missing makeup brush.
When I first started working for Howie, I was in sales with the mailroom manager. And one time I bought this really expensive makeup brush. Working for Howie, it was like my first real paycheck. So I went out and bought this super expensive brush. And when I was driving around with the mailroom manager, we'd go all over New England making sales. I lost it. I thought I lost it in her car. And, I asked her, I said, hey, have you seen my makeup brush? And she was kind of like, no, I haven't seen it. I'm sure it'll turn up.
But I was really determined to find it, and I kept saying, like, no, you got to check again. You got to check again. I eventually found it in my own car under the seat, but she still remembers thinking, this girl is wacky about her makeup.
Catch all of Grace Curley's stories weekdays right before Howie from 12 to 3 on The Grace Curley Show. And follow Grace on Twitter at @G_Curley.
He's the gaff that keeps on giving. Here's 1 minute of former Vice President Joe Biden.
You teachers who touch them, figuratively speaking, well, I hope you touch them and tell them how much you love them too. But my point is, when you touch their hearts, I get in trouble some of the things I say. But I want to tell you, just be straight up. If I'm your president, with me, it starts here in my gut, it goes to my heart, and then I articulate it. And by the way, I sit on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. 1.2 billion. So you go ahead and you stack spaghetti sauce at a store in a supermarket. You control the guy or the woman who brings out the carts on a forklift. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap, and I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
She's the friend you never knew you needed.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep.
Okay, make that best friend. It's Grace Curley.
Welcome back, everyone. We are at the 110 Grill in Woburn, and I'm so excited. Everyone is here. What a great crowd. I can't even believe it, but I can because the food here is amazing. I'm speaking now with Kim from the 110 Grill. Kim, thank you for joining the Grace Curley Show.
Oh, thanks for having me, Grace.
All right, Kim, so I want to go over a little bit here what we've got going on at the 110 Grill. I know that you guys recently just opened up a brand new location.
We did. So we just opened up number 35 in Malden, Mass, right across from the train station, and we are in a dual concept building with our sister company, Aviva Trattoria.
Yes, I actually saw it. So I went to Aviva this past week, and the mail manager and I walked over to 110 Grill, and it's beautiful. This spot's beautiful, too, where we are.
Yeah, we're very fortunate, and one of the great parts of being together with the one side of 110 and the other side being Aviva Trattoria is we have a loyalty program, so you be loyal members, and they both share. So if you eat at Aviva, you can use points at 110 at Aviva. So it's a perfect thing to do.
And the food is just amazing at both spots. I mean, I've been lucky enough to try almost everything from each restaurant. And I have to say, I always find something new that I love. I really feel like your menu has something for everyone.
It does. So, we're a modern American cuisine menu in a trendy casual atmosphere. And what we do also is have seasonal features. So right now we've got a lobster roll and a whole belly clam and a new list of cocktails.
Now, you guys are reopening in the South Bay in Providence on Monday, and there's something special that's happening.
There sure is. So at 4 o'clock on Monday, South Bay, which is Dorchester, and then Providence, Rhode Island, will unlock the doors at 4 o'clock for reopening, and the first 50 guests that come into each location will receive one of Howie's books.
Oh, my gosh.
Exciting.
Everyone, get on that. I also wanted to talk a little bit here about specifically about your menu. I know that you guys, it's very casual, delicious food. Everyone can enjoy it. But you guys are also very, very considerate to people who have gluten allergies.
We are. So we're actually named one of the top 10 allergy-friendly brands in the United States by Allergy Eats. 100% of our menu can be made gluten-free, which is great if you've got celiacs or gluten allergy. We also cater to every type of allergy there is.
That is awesome. And something else I did want to mention here, because this is one of the first things for a lot of people where they're coming back out and they're enjoying themselves. And these restaurants, whether you're at Aviva or 110 Grill, they're great because they're great for entertaining if you want to have an event, but they're also great if you want to sit outside and enjoy the outdoors.
Yeah, it's true, Grace. And what's great about that is on our patios, we have fire pits that we can light as the sun starts to go down, have a cocktail or an appetizer by our fire pit. But we also, on Thursdays, weather permitting, we have live live music on our patios. So it's a great way to get rolling for the weekend.
Yes, no, you know what we call that at my house Thursdays? Friday Junior.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
You got to get excited for Friday. No, I definitely think everyone should check it out. And you mentioned cocktails. Of course, I cannot have a cocktail as I am on the air. Mm-hmm. But if one were to indulge in a cocktail, hypothetically speaking, what's your favorite?
It would definitely be the 110 margarita.
Oh, salted
delicious
rim?
salted rim.
Oh my God. Okay. Once again, totally hypothetical. Kim, thank you for stopping by. I'm so excited. Everyone get yourselves to the 110 Grill. We're in Woburn, but you guys have locations all over.
We sure do. So next to Woburn, we have the Malden, we have Saugus, we have Braintree. You can go up to New Hampshire. You can go over to Rhode Island as of Monday, or if you want, travel to New York.
Awesome. Guys, the food is great. The service is phenomenal. Everyone here is warm and welcoming. And if you come here to the 110 Grill in Woburn, you will get a Howie Carr book. You might even get to meet Howie Carr because he's on his way here right now. Actually, someone brought by donuts. Rooster brought by donuts for Mrs. Murphy, so I think Howie might come even a little bit earlier than expected. Kim, thank you very much for stopping by, and we'll talk to you again later in the show.
Thank you, Grace.
Thank you, Kim. All right, guys, now today's poll question is brought to you by the Eden Pure BioSpeed Clean Vacuum Cleaner. Get the high-quality vacuum cleaner for a fraction of the price of competitors with code word GraceClean and save $20 plus get free shipping at EdenPure.com. Taylor Cormier is on the board. Taylor, what is the poll question, and what are the results thus far?
Who's the most terrible CNN anchor? Anderson Cooper, Chris Cuomo, Don Lemon, or Brian Stelter?
Now, I know, guys, this is one of my old standbys, but it makes sense for today because we have a couple of examples. I only played you one, Don Lemon, but there was more of that. Chris Cuomo's nodding along, and then Joe Rogan makes fun of Brian Stelter, so I felt like it really does make sense. I'm going to say, for his hypocrisy alone, and the fact that he continues to lecture people about things like privilege and COVID.
This could describe any of them right now.
Chris Cuomo.
Okay. 42% say Chris Cuomo, 31% say Don Lemon, Brian Stelter's at 25%, and only 3% say Anderson Cooper's the most terrible.
I mean, Taylor, it also factors in how much I see of them. Like, Brian Stelter's terrible, but no one really plays clips of his show. He doesn't really make much sense. It's like a tree in the forest, you know. If I don't hear about him, it doesn't affect me as much.
Yeah, I think that's the way with all of them. I also think it depends on what the issue of the day is, who's more vocal about that. They each have their niche categories.
Yes, they
do.
Yeah, they do.
I think they have a pre-show meeting with all of them and say, okay, you're going to carry the torch on this topic, you're going to carry the torch on this one, and they go to town.
Well, the funniest part about Chris Cuomo was that his topic was, telling people that, getting together during COVID is selfish. And then he goes around the Hamptons after he gets diagnosed with COVID and starts fighting with fat tire bikers. I mean, he just really, I know what you're saying, Taylor, but he really stepped in it with that. All right, when we get back, I want to play some cuts. So yesterday, Howie mentioned that this mayoral race in New York City, they had asked the candidates, if you could outlaw a food, what would you outlaw? And we were kind of having a conversation about that because I don't like outlawing food. I think everyone should be able to eat whatever they want. But then they moved on to more serious topics, and Andrew Yang actually spoke a little, Taylor, and tell me if I'm wrong here, he spoke a little truth to power, it seems.
I don't like that phrase, but yes, he spoke truth.
And I think people are really going to enjoy that. Let's give him a little tease. Let's play cut one as a little tease to Andrew Yang.
The fact is, mentally ill, homeless men are changing the character of our neighborhoods. A woman my wife Evelyn is friends with in her mom group in Hell's Kitchen was punched in the face by a mentally ill man. Sent a picture of her bruised face around the mom group, spread like wildfire. This is happening in New York City, and we're not talking enough about it. Families are leaving as a result. In East Harlem, the neighborhood has been changed. Upper West Side, the neighborhood has been changed.
Wow, he's actually talking about how people are leaving New York City. I didn't think that was allowed.
And because of homeless people and mentally ill homeless people. So that could be misconstrued as ableist speech.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he's definitely running a risk here of offending people, which we don't do anymore in politics. We don't want to offend any groups. And he had more to say about that, and the sound is really good. We'll play that on the other side, guys, and we have a lot of fun coming up. We also have Paris Denard coming up at 1:05, which I'm really looking forward to. Don't go anywhere. We're at the 110 Grill in Woburn. Come on down.
Hi, I'm Michael Wall, regional owner for Exit Realty New England. The real estate market is on fire. Over the past year, real estate has continued to sell. Our brokerages throughout New England have continued to thrive, and our agents have been able to enjoy a great income through sales and the single-level residuals exclusive to Exit Realty. I give you this brief market update in order to let you know that if you are looking for an opportunity, Exit Realty New England is growing and hiring and training agents. Exit Realty agents are able to better serve buyers and sellers with the Exit Realty tools and technology that lead to faster sales, higher offers, and a seamless, stress-free process for our clients. If you are looking to buy or sell a home in our area, now is the time. The market is moving fast, and an Exit Realty professional can help you find your next home and sell your current home fast and for top dollar. Find out why savvy realtors and consumers choose Exit Realty. Simply text Exit Moves NE to 85377 to learn more. That's all one word, Exit Moves NE to 85377.
What does the mainstream media really think of you? Banjos, please.
Bigots and racists. Credulous, rude, tin-toothed, working class, angry, white.
Aging, angry white guys. Angry white man.
Angry white old men.
These angry white men.
The angry white vote.
All these angry white people.
Too many of them want to see the people who are begging for change put down.
Racist.
Racist, bigoted base.
It's white privilege, it's white nationalism, it's anger, it's rage, it's incel.
To tolerate a certain level of racism.
1 in 3 Americans are racist.
The credulous boomer rube demo.
Y'all elitists are dumb.
You elitists with your geography and your maps and your spelling. Even though my
your math and your reading.
Yeah, you're reading.
They're too far gone.
Look at them. They're high-fiving each other, and they're going to go back, to the Olive Garden and to the Holiday Inn that they're staying at and the Garden Marriott, and they're going to have some drinks.
What deal can we have, Crazy Nancy?
The Constitution does not say that a person can shout wolf in a crowded theater.
But to be clear, you're not taking any arrows out of your quiver. You're not ruling anything out.
Good morning. Sunday morning. Chocolate, candy, chocolate, and then we have some other chocolate here. Consistently practice social distancing.
Why does AOC complain that you have not been grooming younger people for leadership?
I don't know. You'll have to ask her.
That was kind of sharp.
I'm not a big needle taker. I mean, I had a hard time getting my ears pierced. I'm not a big needle taker. Mother Earth is angry. She's telling us.
What do you think is causing this erratic behavior?
I think that the president has always had erratic behavior. I have ice cream in my freezer. I guess that's better than having Lysol in somebody's lungs. Civilization as we know it is at stake. I don't drink, but I'm happy to have ice cream with anybody, anytime.
It's story time with Grace Curley. What do you think was the funniest moment of the Howie Carr show?
The funniest moment of the Howie Carr show for me was when we were doing the death pool and someone called up and Howie said, "You're next on the Howie Carr show. Who do you want for the death pool?" And the person said, "Howie Carr." And Howie said, "Yep, that's me. Okay, who do you want for the death pool?" And the person said, "Howie Carr." And Howie again said, "That's my name." And I was just back here crying, laughing in the green room, just realizing that this person was trying to put Howie in the death pool, and he just didn't understand what was happening. And then finally, when he figured it out, he said, "That plays, put it on the list." And it was just, I don't know, I still think about that sometimes.
Catch all of Grace Curley's stories weekdays right before Howie from 12 to 3 on The Grace Curley Show. And follow Grace on Twitter at G_Curley.
Hello, all the participants in tonight's event. We can overcome the deadly virus. We can reward work. We will reclaim our credibility. The pandemic, we need all our strength to persevere. Rural versus urban. America built of decency. I took it to instill public confidence in the vaccine. President-elect Harris took hers today for the same reason. Everybody is entitled to be treated with decency. All my colleagues I serve with in the House and the Senate up here.
James Joyce was said to have told a friend.
I understand they worry about their jobs. I understand, like my dad, they lay at bed at night staring at the ceiling. Yes. God love you, man. You're a one-horse pony. Come on, give me a break, man.
Live from the Aviva Trattoria studio.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Grace Curley Show. We are here at the 110 Grill in Woburn. I'm already signing books that I did not write, which is my favorite thing to do. I love signing Howie's books. All right, I just wanted to add this in here because remember at the beginning of the pandemic when CNN and all of these networks would praise China for how they're handling the pandemic? They never had any skepticism. And as time has gone on and, more has come out about the CDC and the WHO and all, the Wuhan lab, they've kind of reined that back. But today they're back at it. CNN tweets out, within days, China will reach a staggering 1 billion doses in its COVID-19 vaccination drive, a scale and speed unrivaled by any other country in the world. And this person writes back to them, 1, their vaccines don't work. 2, their numbers are as trustworthy as Tom Cruise's self-account of his height. Beyond that, good for republishing CCP propaganda as a news story. I'm not surprised. And speaking of the vaccines, though, I did want to talk about this a little bit because I've noticed that the media is becoming obsessed now with everyone's vaccination status. Did you get vaccinated? Why or why not? And there was a representative from Kentucky yesterday, Thomas Massey, and he was asked this question. And I've discussed this with my listeners. Like, what do you say in this situation? Somebody asks you, are you vaccinated? Some people think you turn around and say, when was your last colonoscopy? Or, one guy said, what's your sexual history? I said, that's a little, I don't even want to go down that road with people. But the point is, it's no one's business. And this man, Thomas Massey, representative from Kentucky, he actually said something that I think a lot of people want to say, but they just steer clear of. He was asked about his vaccination status. This is cut 9.
Number one, you didn't answer whether or not you've been vaccinated.
Well, first of all, it's none of your business, but I'm going to tell you, I'm not vaccinated. And until there's some science, by the way, I have a master's of science degree from MIT. I'm not a virologist, but I can read data. Everybody just needs to read and don't put your head in the sand. Look at the data. I'm not going to get the vaccine until there's data that shows that it will improve upon the immunity that's been conferred to me as a result of a natural infection that I had.
Yeah, I think that's a very reasonable response. I mean, I don't know about you guys, and maybe we'll take calls on this, 844-500-4242, but I have no issue with people deciding to get the vaccine. What I do have an issue with is schools and summer programs requiring children to get it when their rates of infection are already so incredibly low. You're almost, I was talking with a friend of mine the other day, and she said they don't even tell you a lot of the side effects these kids are dealing with. And they don't want to put it in the news because they don't want to create vaccine hesitancy. But the real issue is, well, if the risk is even a little bit high, it's probably higher than their risk of dying of COVID. And then you have people on the total other side of this, like Cher. She's so far on the other side that she's on Jupiter at this point. She's on another planet. And listen to what she said about people getting the vaccine. Talk about peer pressure, cut 18.
But you know what? I was afraid too. I was a late vacciner. I just was like, oh, do I want to do this? And then I thought, well, you're just so stupid. You have to do this, and everybody that I know, I just took everybody that I knew and forced them.
Isn't that such the Democrat way? I did it, so I forced everyone else to do it. It was right for me, so it has to be right for everybody else in my life. And I think that's the question is, it's one thing if you're an adult and you don't want to get it, but are you making your kids get it? Are you requiring your kids to get this vaccine? I don't think a lot of people are going to do this because it seems like any benefit isn't as much as a risk. Taylor, what do you think? Because I know you have a son and he's younger. Are you kind of blown away that people are already getting their kids vaccinated for something that has such a high survival rate among the youth?
Well, not only just the kids, but the young parents too. I'm vaccinated. Wink, wink. My wife is not vaccinated, and to be clear, I'm not vaccinated either. But if we want to have other kids, we don't want to be going down the line worrying about what effects this might have or might not have on our children. It's just strange especially in Massachusetts, where again I cite these numbers all the time. We have a 94% at least drop-off rate in new cases since January for the general population. That's not kids. That's the general population. Why am I going to subject myself to something that's an experimental drug? It doesn't have, an efficacy rate. Yes, and it's proven to be very effective against the virus and the strains. But my natural. The nature of the virus doesn't seem to attack people my age and in my health status, so I don't see any reason that I should be taking it.
Well, also, Taylor, and you make a lot of good points, especially about the efficacy rate of this vaccine, and I'm never downplaying it. It was a miracle. It's science, and, the Trump administration, Operation Warp Speed, it's all great. Most of the people in my life are vaccinated, and I'm so happy that this horrible pandemic is coming to an end. But when you think about how this thing started, 15 days to slow the spread, that was the goalpost. And then it was, we need a little bit longer, we need to shut down. And then it was, we need to wait until we get a vaccine. And then it was, we need to wait until we vaccinate the elderly and the vulnerable. And then that all happened. We did all of that. And now they're saying, because it's their last hope of control is the youth. So now they're saying, we need to wait to take these masks off kids until every single kid is vaccinated. I mean, if you had told people that, Taylor, a year ago when they were making their masks at home and baking banana bread and watching Tiger King, that we were going to get to a point where 5-year-olds were being vaccinated for this thing that they're really not at risk for, they would probably laugh you out of the room.
Well, and it's not only that, now we have a strife within the vaccinated community. I don't know if you saw this story, Grace, but Bruce Springsteen has a show on Broadway now, and he is not letting anybody in that doesn't have the AstraZeneca vaccine. If you have any other vaccine.
Specific brand?
Yes.
He's a vaccine snob.
He's a vaxilitist, I guess you could coin a phrase. But if you don't have the AstraZeneca vaccine specifically, you're not getting into the Bruce Springsteen show.
You know what? Howie Carr is going to be so sad about that because he has said to me so many times, I want to go see Bruce Springsteen's show on Broadway. And when I tell him he's not going to be able to, he's going to be heartbroken. I have no doubt about it.
That's like a cop having, the stipulation that he's only going to arrest people for drunk driving if they're drunk on a certain beer. What was Bruce Springsteen's beer in that park?
I believe it was a shot of tequila.
Oh, that's right, a shot of tequila.
But Taylor, this is so bizarre because, okay, so let's say I'm a diehard Bruce Springsteen fan, which, I'll be honest, I like Rosalita. I think that's a good song. I can't help myself. But I'm not one of those real diehards. Actually, my uncle is. He loves Bruce Springsteen. But let's say you loved Bruce, okay? You loved the boss. You wanted to go see this show. And you got Moderna. Okay, or Pfizer, or some other brand that's not the one he wants. What's your option there? Can you get the other one? Can you double up?
That's a question. That's a question I've been asking for people who want to take advantage of all the freebies out there and get vaccinated to, get an entry into the lottery. For people like Howie Carr, who got vaccinated in Florida and they come back to Massachusetts and they find out that there's $1 million cash prize potential, and he wants to get the vaccine again, or just get a free donut, for that matter.
How he's going to walk in with a mustache on, and then with a hat on, and then with a wig.
Yeah, my name is Jan Janssen. No, but what's the science there? That's just something that Bruce Springsteen is now subconsciously advocating for, that if maybe you already have, say, the Moderna vaccine, that people should go out and get the AstraZeneca instead. By the way, does he have stock in AstraZeneca? Why is he pushing just that vaccine?
That is so bizarre. And you know what? When the vaccines first started, my fiance Will, who he's not super political or anything, but he said to me, he goes, I hate hearing people how the small talk now is what brand you got.
Which one did you get stuck with? Yeah.
He goes, no one ever did this with anything else. It's so
Moderna,
bizarre.
Me, J&J, one
and then
shot,
people say,
baby.
Taylor, people say, I'm Team Pfizer. Oh, no, I'm Moderna. I'm Moderna fam only. It's like, oh, it's so weird.
How many of these people were against Big Pharma before all this happened, too?
Oh, right. I mean, if Trump were president, people would not be that excited about getting these vaccines. Cher wouldn't be bringing in her whole family and forcing them to take it. I have no doubt. I mean, for a long time, the people who were the biggest vaccine skeptics were people like Cher, or at least people like Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, Democrats. Nick, you're next with Grace on the Grace Curley Show. Go ahead, Nick.
Hi. Two things to consider, if I may, for people who are in the position of should I get the vaccine? Okay. One, if you have antibodies in your system, from what we can gather, the statistics are ready for the first shot. Forget the second shot, right? A lot of things going on. Myocarditis, whatever the heck it is. It's heart inflammation, right? And
I've heard of that.
Okay, if you have antibodies, my recommendation as a person.
Oh, I think we lost you there, Nick. Sorry about that. I have heard of that, though. And actually, Rochelle Walensky, she was on, I think, with Chris Hayes, and she was talking about how it's really the likelihood is very low. And then people were saying, yeah, but the risk associated with COVID is basically zero for adolescents. So maybe they just shouldn't get a vaccine at all if it means that they have to risk one of these things.
Well, and we have the cut, Grace. We'll play it. But I just want to point out before we do that she kind of contradicts herself in her own statement, if I'm not mistaken. No, it's hard for you to believe. But pay attention. She says the number of cases of this myocardial inflammation and then compares it to the number of cases that where adolescents have died from the virus itself, and you figure out which is more common.
What I will say is over 200 million doses of vaccine have been given, and really these events are really quite rare. They are, as you note, minor, self-limited. They generally resolve with rest and standard medications. And what we're really saying is the risk of the disease itself. We've had 300 pediatric deaths. We've had over 4,000 children with the MIS-C syndrome that have resulted in even more deaths, 36 more deaths. And so what we're really saying is in that context, these cases of mild heart inflammation, the risk of that, which are quite rare, are overwhelmed by the benefit of getting vaccinated.
All right, so it wasn't in that cut, but whoever the anchor was had stated, there are several hundred reports of myocardial inflammation, if that's the proper term. So, I mean, you take your chance with, are you strongly going to survive this disease if you get it on your own, or do you want to take a chance by having your heart swollen up with
fluid
the vaccine
around it, right? Yeah. No, you're absolutely right, Taylor. She makes a point of mentioning the number of people that have died of COVID, and I think that came up to, from what I see, 336. But she doesn't make a point to mention the number as far as the mild. I'm not going to try to pronounce it because I'm going to sound like a crazy person. But you're right. There's one number we have, but what's the other number? Because for me, it seems like it's always better. And again, I'm sure there's doctors out there going, Grace, just shut up before you get yourself in trouble. But when I was younger, if you were going to get chickenpox, it was better to just get it and develop a natural immunity to it. That's what you want. That's at least what my mom wanted to happen. She would rather us just get it naturally. So now to give these kids the vaccine when they're going to survive it most likely anyway, it doesn't make sense to me. And you know what it makes me think of, Taylor, is like this lack of just common logic. We all say, oh, I'm not a doctor. Oh, don't take my whatever. But now, I was saying that about the Wuhan lab leak. I was going, hey, I don't really know much, but it just seems like if there's a Wuhan lab studying viruses and a virus breaks out in Wuhan, there's a chance it could have come from the Wuhan lab. If I had known that Jon Stewart saying it was going to become the most viral cut of the week, I would have put my theory on YouTube. But I just figured, well, it's so basic that I must be missing something here.
So NBC News has the number quoted of heart issue cases over 300. Wasn't it a few months ago when one of the newer vaccines came on? It may have been Pfizer, may have been AstraZeneca, I'm not sure. But there were 5 cases of people having blood clot issues, and they pulled the vaccine from the market. Yet we have over 300 cases of people with heart inflammation issues, and they're still pumping that vaccine into people? What the hell's going on?
And I would also like to know, Taylor, she refers to the kids who have had COVID, and I'm not trying to downplay that at all, but I would like to know if any of those kids had underlying conditions, because we figured out the underlying conditions with most adults months later when the reports came out. So there's a lot of questions to be asked here, but I'm not going to ask them because I don't want to be called a conspiracy theorist like Tom Cotton or, any of those normal thinking people like Dr. Scott Atlas. I've had my fair share of free lunches during my time at the Howie Carr Radio Network, so I can say this with confidence: nothing beats Aviva Trattoria. Since the start of my show in January, Aviva Trattoria has catered a free lunch every other Friday here at the studio. That's right. Every other week, 2 lucky listeners have an incredible meal by Aviva, and they watch the show with me in studio. We had so much fun yesterday. They brought in an incredible spread, and all you have to do to enter is listen every Thursday. You know what? We had Trattoria Trivia, Taylor, but I think what's going to stick is Woke or Joke. We're going to enter the winners of Woke or Joke and then pick from a hat. Whoever wins Woke or Joke for the week is also going to be the Aviva winner. I hope when Marcy comes in, she brings our favorites, the Aviva salad, the farmhouse pizza, whatever they bring, it's always great.
I had the bolognese for the first time yesterday. Ooh. It's so good. That's my baseline meal to judge an Italian restaurant on, because it's got a little bit of everything in it. So if the bolognese is good, it's a great restaurant, and the bolognese was excellent.
No, you're absolutely right. It's a good baseline, and theirs is phenomenal. They also brought in salads yesterday, pizzas, which everyone loved. They have convenient locations in Marlborough, Maynard, Wrentham, Westford, and their new location in Malden, which is open for business, and takeout is available too. By the way, they have great cocktails. Again, I wouldn't know, but if I did dabble...
How come we don't get those cocktails to go when they deliver here to the Howie Carr Show?
You know what? I'm going to ask Howie when he gets here.
Put that request in to Marcy next time.
I will. I got a lot of pull with Marcy. I'll see what I can do. Tune into the Grace Curley Show every Thursday for Woke or Joke. We will be back on the other side with your calls. We'll keep going with this. We got Paris Denard coming up at 1:05. And we're going to talk a little bit, and Taylor, this is a little prep for you. We're going to talk a little bit about summer jobs later on, your best and worst summer jobs.
Oh, very good. I've got many.
I know you do. I could list a couple that you've had. Don't go anywhere, guys. This is the Grace Curley Show.
You're listening to the Grace Curley Show.
Here's 1 minute of Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
There's a lot of restaurants that are feeling the pain of racism, where people are literally not patroning Chinese restaurants. They're not patroning Asian restaurants because of just straight up racism around the coronavirus. So,
only in America does the president, when the president tweets about liberation, does he mean go back to work? When we, have this discussion about going back or reopening, I think a lot of people should just say, no, we're not going back to that.
I know it sounds banal. Do we know how long puppies are allowed to stay with their mothers after a dog has given birth?
I don't.
8 weeks. Wow. So the market has decided that women and people who give birth deserve less time with their children than a dog.
So the whole premise of the Green New Deal is that we're screwed.
President Trump is clearly ethically unfit and intellectually unprepared to be the president of the United States. And I support Chairwoman. In the coming weeks, the House will hold hearings. Congresswoman Harris, Congressman Senator, did I say Senator? Senator Harris. He's our president, and I would rather he not be taking something that has not been approved, especially in his age group and in his, shall we say, weight group, what is morbidly obese, they say. So completely inappropriate in so many ways that it's almost a given. It's like a child who comes in with mud on their pants or something. That's the way it is. They're outside playing. That's what he comes in with doggy doo on his shoes, and everybody who works with him has that on their shoes too. But I only will do that if you tell me that this legislation is worthy of George Kirby's name. This moment of national anguish.
I'm here with Dr. Noristani for Balance 7. Dr. Noristani, how exactly does Balance 7 work to give you more energy?
Given the fact that what we eat and what goes inside of our body, your body starts building up what is called a acid load. Your fatigue level, your concentration level significantly decline. By taking Balance 7, it helps you to bring your pH back to normal so you could feel the amount of energy that's lost and restore some of the energy that you wouldn't have otherwise.
How does Balance 7 help my arthritis?
Acid buildup leads to increase and significant amount of inflammation. So when you take care of the underlying problem and allow your own body to fight its own battle, you'll see the significant benefit.
Can you take more than 3 shots a day?
If you feel like you need a dose or two throughout the day for a couple of days, then sure, you can go ahead and do that. It's safe.
Give Balance 7 a try. Order any of the 1-month supply and put in code word Howie for your first order. You'll save $10 and get free shipping. That's balance7, the number 7.com, code word Howie.
This is the Grace Curley Show.
Welcome back to the Grace Curley Show. Oh, this place is popping. It is so fun here. Everyone is so nice. I can't even get over how much fun we're having. And by the way, Howie's going to be here soon. We got Paris Denard coming up. I'm about to order some food, which I'm very excited about. And we've just got a lot of fun happening. We're going to talk summer jobs. We got crazy Karens in the news. And I don't have a lot of time, but I'm going to try to take Jill really quick. Go ahead, Jill. Jill? I can't hear you, Jill. I'm sorry. So we were just talking a little bit about vaccines and whether or not it's the right move. And I totally support people getting them, but I'm not a fan of people wanting to get something and then forcing me to get it. I would not get along well with Bruce Springsteen. Bruce Springsteen doesn't seem like the type of guy who follows the number one rule of the Grace Curley Show. Mind your business. Telling people you need to get a vaccine and it has to be this specific kind is a little wonky. All right, we'll be back with Paris Denard. Don't go anywhere. It's the Grace Curley Show.
The election is behind us, and what happens next is anyone's guess. Most agree, though, that taxes will be going up in the future. Is your portfolio ready? Kevin Frisbee and the team at Frisbee & Associates want you to be sure.
If you want to come in and take advantage of that free consultation, we're going to have the 100-100 challenge. So if you have at least $100,000 in an investment account with somebody else and you go through our processes, no obligation, you're going to be able to get a $100 bill. You could leave our office with that $100 bill, and we're going to do the comparison, and we're going to send you on your way, and then you could circle back around if you wanted to.
Call now for your no-cost, no-obligation consultation, and you could walk out with $100 cash. That's right, $100 cash. Call 800-989-9100, 800-989-9100. And be sure and catch Kevin on the Howie Carr radio program every Thursday afternoon for market reviews and tips on creating the retirement of your dreams. Call Kevin Frisbee today at 800-989-9100, 800-989-9100.
It's story time with Grace Curley. Tell me the story about who really hired you.
The mail manager really hired me, but it wasn't a great interview. Like, she'll even tell you that. She asked me what I like to do for fun, and all I could think of was I like to go out to dinner with my friends and eat and get drinks. So I really just sounded like a loser who doesn't have... I think I also lied and said, I like to play tennis, just because I wanted to do something that sounded normal. Howie had no idea who I even was. I mean, I came in, was 10 minutes early for an interview, which everybody knows the story. I had red lipstick on, and I was 10 minutes early, and that was the high bar I had to meet, because then I got hired.
Catch all of Grace Curley's stories weekdays right before Howie from 12 to 3 on The Grace Curley Show. Online at gracecurleyshow.com. And follow Grace on Twitter at G_Curly.
Needs to know about Howie. Howie is sort of an insidious force in this area. His show is listened to mostly angry white males. Racism is a key factor in your show on a constant basis. You are a good entertainer, Howie, and hats off to you for that. You have the highest ratings. People listen to you, but your show brings down the level of debate. You are an intellectual lightweight, and you're a racist.
I deal with the issues of the day. I'm number one with men. I'm number one with women. I have good demographics. I have the highest ratings of anybody in Boston Talk. I'm trying to put on a good show, and I'm a conservative. I admit that.
You know, I hate to be in a position to defend Howie Carr. I will probably rue this day for the rest of my existence. It's not just angry white men. I'm not that angry. I should say I am a white man. I am the only liberal who admits I listen to Howie Carr.
A lot of us are going to be on the move again this summer. So my advice to you, take your Raycons with you. Whether you're working out to a pumped-up playlist or listening to a podcast on your commute, a pair of Raycon wireless earbuds in your ears can make all the difference. With Raycon, you get crisp, powerful beats at half the price of other premium audio brands. Their wireless earbuds look great and feel even better. They come in a range of cool colors with customizable gel tips for a comfortable in-ear fit. Raycons are built to go wherever you go with quick and seamless Bluetooth pairing and a compact charging case. And with a 24-hour battery life, they're a must-have for your daily grind, all day, every day. Raycon has a 45-day happiness guarantee, so give them a try. You'll be surprised you ever went anywhere without them. That's buyraycon.com/Howie, buyraycon.com/Howie, buyraycon.com/Howie.
Joe Biden's plagiarizing prowess proves one thing: he's been stealing all his life.
Let us pledge that our generation of Americans will pay any price. We shall pay any price. Bear any burden. Bear any burden. Accept any challenge and meet any hardship. Meet any hardship. To secure the blessings of prosperity and the promise of opportunity for our children. To assure the survival and the success of liberty.
But this standard is not a measure of how we can evaluate the condition of our society. It cannot measure the health of our children.
Yet the gross national product does not allow for the health of our children.
The quality of our education.
The quality of their education.
The joy of their play.
For the joy of their play.
Come on, man.
Needs to know about Howie. Howie is sort of an insidious force in this area. His show is listened to mostly angry white males. Racism is a key factor in your show on a constant basis. You are a good entertainer, Howie, and hats off to you for that. You have the highest ratings. People listen to you, but your show brings down the level of debate. You are an intellectual lightweight, and you're a racist.
I deal with the issues of the day. I'm number one with men. I'm number one with women. I have good demographics. I have the highest ratings of anybody in Boston Talk. I'm trying to put on a good show, and I'm a conservative. I admit that.
You know, I hate to be in a position to defend Howie Carr. I will probably rue this day for the rest of my existence. It's not just angry white men. I'm not that angry. I should say I am a white man. I am the only liberal who admits I listen to Howie Carr.
Wait a second. How did John Kerry vote on NAFTA?
outsourcing.
How did John Kerry
NAFTA
vote on
does not
NAFTA?
have to, NAFTA had to do with Mexico and Canada, not outsourcing of jobs to India. And the fact of the matter is, we give $12 billion in tax breaks to companies that outsource jobs to
What would you say?
overseas.
What would you say about a corporation, a major American food-producing corporation that has 57 factories outside the United States of America? What would you call that company? I'd call it H.J. Heinz.
I knew that was coming. Why do we have to
course.
attack a candidate's wife? Why can't we stick to the issues?
That's where his money comes from.
Oh,
He's a gigolo. I'm Howie Carr.
A lot of us are going to be on the move again this summer. So my advice to you, take your Raycons with you. Whether you're working out to a pumped-up playlist or listening to a podcast on your commute, a pair of Raycon wireless earbuds in your ears can make all the difference. With Raycon, you get crisp, powerful beats at half the price of other premium audio brands. Their wireless earbuds look great and feel even better. They come in a range of cool colors with customizable gel tips for a comfortable in-ear fit. Raycons are built to go wherever you go with quick and seamless Bluetooth pairing and a compact charging case. And with a 24-hour battery life, they're a must-have for your daily grind, all day, every day. Raycon has a 45-day happiness guarantee, so give them a try. You'll be surprised you ever went anywhere without them. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. Buyraycon.com/Howie. Buyraycon.com/Howie.
It's story time with Grace Curley. Tell me the story about the time you got pulled over by the police with Howie in the car.
Howie and I were going on a remote, and I was driving at the time the Howie Carr, which was Howie's face wrapped around this car. And a police officer pulled us over, and he was really just asking a lot of questions about the car. And then he said to me, "Do you know how fast you were going?" And I was like, I don't know, but I didn't think I was going that fast. Then he started talking to Howie, and Howie offered him a book. He said he couldn't take it, but he said he was a big fan. And then by the end of it, it became very clear to me that he had really just pulled us over because he was a fan of Howie and wanted to meet him. To this day, that is the only time I've been pulled over for speeding, and I was not speeding.
She's the Boston Herald's wittiest wordsmith, the last woman standing at the Whiskey Priest. Once a very legitimate magazine that we definitely didn't make up named her the Michael Jordan of radio. Wait, don't you think we're laying it on a little thick here, Grace?
Just stick to the script.
Oh, okay. Live from the Aviva Trattoria studio, it's the Grace Curley Show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Grace Curley Show. Thank you all so much for joining me on this beautiful Friday in New England. I'm at the 110 Grill in Woburn doing a live remote with a packed house. I encourage everyone to head on down here, get a free book, get a delicious meal. You'll have so much fun. Now, today is June 18th. Tomorrow is June 19th, or Juneteenth. It's officially a federal holiday in the United States, celebrating the emancipation of African Americans who had been enslaved. It's getting a lot of there's a lot of discussion happening on social media and politically just about this day. And my next guest is going to talk to us about the importance of this day and tomorrow and what it means to him. Paris Denard, he's the national spokesperson and director of Black Media Affairs, and he works for the GOP. Paris, I'm a huge fan of yours. Thank you so much for coming on the show again.
Thanks for having me.
Paris, let's talk a little bit about this day. I came across your Twitter, and you gave your Paris perspective on what this day means and why it's so important to American history.
Well, look, Juneteenth is an important piece of American history. It's something that we all should celebrate. It signifies the date in June 19th, 1865, when the Union's army finally got to Galveston, Texas, to let the remaining enslaved Black Americans know that they were free. And when that happened, it was a moving event because 2.5 years after President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, there were still Black Americans that were enslaved because, you couldn't just send an email and let everybody know. You couldn't just put it, on FedEx and make sure everybody got the word. So it took some time, especially the furthest most point in the South, which were Texas, the Galveston, Texas, to be specific. And so for many years, on local levels, Black Americans have gathered to celebrate Juneteenth, as it's called, in many states and cities have acknowledged the holiday. President Trump last year in his Black Economic Empowerment Plan called for Juneteenth to be a federal holiday. And this year, it was signed into law and that it was made happen. And so it is now another federal holiday. And it's a good thing. It's something that is important to our country. It's something that we should celebrate. And it's something as Republicans, we do and have celebrated and will continue to celebrate because it's part of our heritage as a party. This party, the Republican Party, has always been the party of freedom, always been the party of opportunity, always been the party of emancipation, historically and to present day. And so it is something that we should embrace. It is something that we should enjoy learning more about if we're unaware of it, and use it to talk about the greatness of this country, that this is still the best place for anybody to be because of the fact we are the place where opportunity still happens. And even though we did have the scourge of slavery, our founding fathers had the ability to write it into our laws so that we could get out of it by the amendment process of the Constitution. And thanks to Republican leaders like President Lincoln and others that were in the Congress at the time, led to this nation becoming united around the issue of being a free country for all Americans, living up to our founding fathers who said in the Declaration of Independence, all men are created equal.
Now I'm speaking with Paris Denard, and I love how you talk about learning our history, whether it is Juneteenth and the meaning of it or the Tulsa Race Massacre. There are a lot of important days, and I think when you learn history, you see how much progress we've made and what we can do in the future, and you understand just how far we've come. But there seems to be a bit of a conflation, Paris, and I don't know if you've noticed this in the left with critical race theory, the argument that people like Joy Reid, and I'm going to play a cut here for you because I want you to react.
Sure.
She specifically calls out the GOP for, not wanting to teach critical race theory. She conflates that with not teaching about slavery in schools. And just from hearing you speak about it, everyone does learn about this. And you can always learn more. No one's arguing that. But this idea that, the parents who are opposed to critical race theory are somehow opposed to their children learning about slavery is just completely false. I want to play this. She calls out the GOP. I know you represent the GOP. Let's play cut 14, please.
Well, Juneteenth will now be commemorated nationwide. There's a catch. In some red states, it could soon be illegal to teach what the holiday is all about. That's because Republican state legislatures in a dozen states are now aiming to dictate how historical and modern racism in America are taught. That includes the state of Texas, where Juneteenth was first celebrated. Governor Abbott signed a law this week intended to ban critical race theory from being taught in public schools, even though it's not being taught in any K-12 curriculums anywhere.
All right, Paris, how do you react to that cut?
I don't think Joy Reid is someone that is a respectable journalist, and so I think people should disregard what she says, especially for her past comments and bigoted things that she's done as a journalist that I consider to be a commentator, and she's void of actually understanding the positions of the Republican Party. She should turn her attention to what Democrats are doing and what Democrats are trying to do to radically change this country and indoctrinate our youth, and it's a shame. But ultimately, she's wrong. She's wrong because critical race theory, while it may she thinks it's not being taught right now, they're trying to. There's a friend of mine down in Dallas, Texas, in high school, and her family had to help her push back against her school from preventing them to say the Pledge of Allegiance. They said it was discriminatory and racist and something that should not be said. So critical race theory is happening. And the thing that they would do with critical race theory is they would focus on all the negatives. They would try to focus on all of the things that are bad with being white in their eyes and not look at the promise and the things that are good that came out of emancipation. They want to radically change history and impose this racial theory to racialize everything and to indoctrinate children to making them think that there is an oppressor and an oppressed still in America, and that the founding of this country was founded upon evil and founded upon racism. And they want to change the way history is written and the way history is told to go after this more progressive liberal ideology that is divisive, that is un-American, and that actually sows discord, seeds of discord in the minds of America's population, and it's wrong. And Joy Reid is wrong.
Yeah, and Paris, I'm glad you brought that up, because what I keep hearing about, and you just mentioned this word, oppression, and they do want kids at a very young age to understand that you are either oppressed or you are the oppressor. And what a lot of parents have been pointing out is this is the opposite of what a lot of people fought for in the civil rights movement, which was for people to be judged on the content of their character and not to just be looked at as what race they are. But it does seem like for a lot of liberals, including Don Lemon, Chris Cuomo, these people on CNN, they want racism to be everywhere.
It's true, because look, racism, sexism, ageism, all those things are taught. They're learned behaviors. When you're a child and you put children together, they're going to play in the sandbox. They don't care if you're Asian, if you're black, if you're Hispanic, if you're white. They just want somebody to play with. Everybody go to the pool and have fun. It is only when ignorant people come into their lives and say, oh, you can't play with him because he's white, or you can't play with her because she has a gap tooth, or you can't, or her parents come from the South, so you know that they're going to hate you. We put this on children. We indoctrinate them, and that's what's wrong. We should be talking about what unites us as Americans. And when you see the liberal left trying to change what it means to be an American by saying illegal immigrants can just come here and reap all the benefits of American citizenship, they are fundamentally trying to change everything that we know about America and being American. And so it's no surprise that they want to do this. They want to divide us. This is about division. This is about things that are just not where we should be when it comes to unifying the country.
Paris Dennard, I always love having you on. You do a fabulous job. Everyone should follow you on Twitter at Paris Dennard. He gives his Paris perspective on everything from Kamala Harris to Juneteenth to the Biden administration. Paris, we so appreciate it. We hope to have you on again soon.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate you.
The frenzied real estate market is causing bidding wars across certain segments. Real estate brokers are holding calls for highest and best offers because demand is so high. I'm actually going to be interviewing Justin Manning during the next segment because I have a lot of questions. I'm reading now about, there's just no inventory and people feel like they're going to be renting forever. And I wanted to ask him about this. How do you know as a seller if you've realized all of the money for your property and if you've sold under the best terms? You wouldn't hire a refrigerator repairman to fix your valuable car. So when selling real estate, let the bidding war experts for over 45 years sell your property quickly, contingency-free, and for true market value. Recent real estate auctions for Howie Carr listeners have attracted as many as 30 qualified cash-ready buyers battling for their properties. At the end of your auction, you will know that no money was left on the table, and you can't ask for a better feeling than that. Remember, when you sell your real estate in the usual way with a broker, you pay the commission. But in a J.J. Manning auction, the buyer pays. That saves you, the seller, thousands of dollars right there. Whether residential, commercial, or land, J.J. Manning can get your property sold now. To learn more on how to get your property sold quickly and contingency-free, contact Charlie Gill at 800-521-0111 or jjmanning.com. With over 16,000 sales and satisfied clients, you can be the next one. Call Charlie today at 800-521-0111 or go to jjmanning.com and get your property sold. We'll actually be talking to Justin Manning in the next segment, so if you have any questions for him, text them in to 63566. Start your text with the word Curley, C-U-R-L-E-Y. He is our real estate expert here at the Grace Curley Show. By the way, Taylor, not to call you out, but you gave us a little bit of fake news with the Bruce Springsteen. You kind of had it reversed there.
I did, yeah, I'm sorry. He's accepting any vaccine but the AstraZeneca. So
the AstraZeneca people who are listening are
sorry
devastated.
If you got so excited that you were going to be granted entry to the Bruce Springsteen show, but no, you are not.
They thought they were VIPs, and really they're not even allowed in. Wow,
no
guys,
backstage passes for you.
There might be some people out there now who are trying to get rid of their Bruce Springsteen tickets after that last segment. All right, we will be back on the other side with Justin Manning and all of your questions. 844-500-4242. Call in if you have a question for Justin. I'll take some calls with them. We'll be right back. This is The Grace Curley Show.
The Grace Curley Show will be right back.
He is the youngest senator that is going to be running In his video, he also mentioned he's the only senator that lives in the inner city, and he's an unmarried vegan. So a lot of very unique qualities Cory Booker brings to the table, Kate.
Now, I appreciate the comments of my colleagues. This is about the closest I'll probably ever have in my life to an I am Spartacus moment. I am Spartacus. I am Spartacus.
Joey, you like movies about gladiators?
Have you ever had an LGBTQ law clerk?
I've not been a judge, so I don't have any law clerks.
Someone working for you.
I'm to be honest, I don't know the sexual orientation of my staff.
When Dick Durbin called me, I had tears of rage when I heard about this experience in that meeting. And for you not to feel that hurt, tears of rage.
Would you just stop being so dramatic?
I'm a big believer that if this country hasn't broken your heart, then you don't love her enough.
Hair loss is not one of life's more enjoyable experiences. If you're looking to fill in your hairline or reverse years of hair loss, DiStefano Hair Restoration will create a result that will be a transformative experience. The result of my IGT procedure was quite remarkable. I now have fuller, thicker hair so I can even wear it a bit longer. There are a few major decisions I've made in my life that I wish I did sooner. My hair restoration is number one. It was by far one of the best moves I've ever made. My hair looks awesome, and the confidence from having a full head of hair again has left me feeling great. I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now when I look in the mirror, I see the new me with a full head of thick hair. For information on how to make the same choice I did, go to hairman.com/Howie. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? Get the hair you've always wanted. hairman.com/Howie.
I'm kind of the Grinch when it comes to almost any private event of any kind. The guy who stole Thanksgiving, the guy who stole Christmas, the guy who stole New Year's, the guy who stole every holiday you can think of. As we head into yet another holiday weekend in our back-to-school season, people really need to wear face coverings, not share food, not share drink, and take this stuff seriously. If you have a friend or a neighbor who's been traveling out of state, you're probably better off not watching the Patriots game on Sunday with them. Then a whole bunch of people say to me, why don't you just cancel Halloween? Outdoor trick-or-treating, done with small groups, face coverings, and limited interaction is actually a lot safer. Made everybody build, chutes for candy for Halloween. I actually built one myself. I thought it was pretty cool. Thought I might spend a minute talking about Thanksgiving, but there's just no way around it. The holidays have to look and feel different this year. Don't share food or drink. And if necessary, open windows to allow for ventilation.
Grace Curley. She's the cool kid at the lunch table.
I want a hamburger, no cheeseburger. I want a hot dog. I want a milkshake. I want potato chips. You'll get nothing like it.
This is the Grace Curley Show.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Grace Curley Show. We're at the 110 Grill in Woburn, and I'm so excited to be here. I just got my delicious citrus salad with a side of salmon, and wow, the food here is phenomenal. We got a packed house. People keep coming in. I encourage you to come. We're having the best time. Get a free book from Howie. He's actually in the building. Can we get a round of applause, please, for Howard Lawrence Carr? Thank you very much, everyone. All right, now I'm very excited about my next guest. He's a real estate expert. Justin Manning is joining us now. Justin, I have a lot of questions for you.
All right, Grace, fire away.
All right, my first one is this piece from Bloomberg. I have a feeling you're going to disagree with it, but the title is America Should Become a Nation of Renters. Rising real estate prices are stoking fears that home ownership, long considered a core component of the American dream, is slipping out of reach for people. Do you agree with that, Justin?
So I don't, it doesn't scare me. It doesn't make what we do irrelevant. It qualifies the fact of what I've always said is if you are able to buy a home and it's a sound investment and you plan on staying there and you've got a good job and your partner has a good job and things are going to continue to be the same, then go for it. But don't get pushed into home ownership if you could have changes happen in your life. Like, I don't know, have a baby, lose a job, get cancer. There's so many things that can happen, variables, so you have to look at it from that standpoint. You can't just buy a home because other people have homes and that's what people tell you to do. You have to make that decision because it makes sense for you, and some people are not home buyers. Some people should be renters based upon what they earn and what their ability is, where they live. It's just a better decision financially.
Yeah, and speaking of that, you had an interesting email out recently. I'm speaking with Justin Manning from JJ Manning Auctioneers, and you talk about how 82% of sellers are getting above listing right now. Is that cannot be true?
So this was an email. I mean, I'm a broker and an auctioneer. I'm licensed as both, but we strictly sell at auction for a reason because we know it's better. I got an email from the National Association of Realtors yesterday as being a realtor. And the title of it, the big headline, 82% of sellers in this market are getting above list price. And I attribute that to two things. One, a super hot market, and two, brokers have bought into the auction platform by underlisting their property to get multiple bids, to compete against one another, to drive the price to the true market value. So that quasi-auction is created by underlisting the property. So that's why that statistic is so high, but it's pretty impressive as well.
I also want to talk a little bit, and I'm not a real estate expert, Justin. I know you know this, but you mentioned to me something recently about kick-out clauses. Can you explain to people what that is and why it's a better choice to go with an auction?
So when there's a kick-out clause as part of an offer with a buyer, that allows the seller to essentially take a better offer, meaning with better terms or better money. They can, buyer number two comes in, and the seller can go to buyer one and say, hey, we've got a kick-out clause, so you either remove your contingencies and come up to this price within 72 hours, or we're going with this other buyer. So what it does is it forces the hand of buyer one. But either way, Grace, if they go with buyer one or buyer two, at that point, now the deal's locked in and it's going to move forward and close. And I spoke with a friend recently that went through this exact process selling his home on the Cape, and he talked to two other people later on that would have paid more money than than offer one or offer two. So that kick-out clause really just contains you to two people. And that's why I keep saying, why contain it to one or two? Why shouldn't it be 10, 20, 30 people that determine what the highest number is?
Now, Justin, I want to ask you before we go, and this is Justin Manning from JJ Manning Auctioneers. I do want to talk about a recent listener's home who you signed up in Westwood. But before I do, I have a question. So I've been talking to a lot of people about how everyone is so eager to buy a home, especially young people. You know, they're getting married, they're starting families, and it's really hard to get their offer accepted. So they're waiving things like home inspections, and they're just trying to, they're going, thousands of dollars above asking. Do you think people are going to regret that later down the line?
I think in a couple years, when the banks allow some of these forbearances that they still are kind of hanging on to with foreclosures, and those, not really where we live here, Grace, but in other parts of the country, when those foreclosures then start to not flood the market, but they're going to start to almost balance things out. And I think that it's possible that somebody shoulda, coulda, woulda in a couple years, but honestly, if they want to be in a certain location and that's what they've chosen to want to be and do, then they should do it. But there may be a little bit of buyer remorse in a couple years, but if they're in there for the long term, then who cares?
All right, tell us about this listener's home in Westwood, Justin.
So this listener is a huge Howie fan, listens all the time. She actually first touched base with us 6 months ago, but she was so nervous about the process that she needed to see us go through it with multiple other Grace and Howie listeners and see the successes and see the results and follow what we do and kind of vet us and vet the process. And now she feels confident and has signed on, and we've got her home in Westwood. It's 365 Blue Hill Drive in Westwood, and it's heading to absolute auction on July 22nd, and she's going to do fantastic, and we've already had interest from pre-auction buyers that want to make a move on this sooner, so she'll do great.
I think people do hear auction and they might get nervous just because they're unfamiliar with it, Justin. But just remind people, first of all, where they can find you if they do have questions. And second, why it is a good choice for people trying to sell their homes.
Great. So they can reach us on the website at jjmanning.com, or they can call my man Charlie Gill at 800-521-0111. And the main reason an auction is so relevant right now, Grace, especially in this market, is the market is dictating that no money is going to be left on the table, and the terms of an auction benefit the seller so greatly that it's just a no-brainer.
All right, thank you so much to Justin Manning from JJ Manning. We very much appreciate it. Guys, when we get back, we're talking summer jobs. I'm opening up the lines, 844-500-4242. Call in with your best and your worst summer job experience. We'll be right back.
Due to popular demand in May, DiStefano Hair Restoration is continuing this very special deal through June. This amazing limited deal will save you $2,000. PRP, also known as platelet-rich plasma therapy, is an easy way to get quick hair growth. Dr. Chris Hines will take your own plasma and apply the treatment where hair growth is desired. This is a fast, safe, and affordable method of hair restoration. PRP is truly remarkable and has been used in medicine to promote growth and healing. From now until June 30th, DiStefano Hair Restoration is offering 2 free booster sessions when you sign up. This is a huge savings, but it is only good through June. I often hear from listeners that they wish they had done it sooner. You may have been procrastinating too. Well, wait no longer and save now. Go to hairman.com and look at my before and after pictures. Stop putting it off and get the hair you deserve. That's hairman.com.
I'm kind of the Grinch when it comes to almost any private event of any kind. The guy who stole Thanksgiving, the guy who stole Christmas, the guy who stole New Year's, the guy who stole every holiday you can think of. But I'm here today to say that we really can't have them be the kind of consequential event that Thanksgiving has been here in Massachusetts. Next year, we'll probably be able to celebrate those holidays just like we used to, but not this year. Following the rules and sticking with the people you live with, just to get us through this difficult winter. My understanding is that Santa has a travel form that is good in every community, every state, every county, and every country in the world. He gets tested on a pretty regular basis, so do most of the folks that are part of his team, and I'm pretty sure he was on the really early list on the vaccine as well. We repeatedly begged people to stay home for the holidays this year and discouraged celebrations with loved ones outside their household. I saw several really impressive versions of Charlie Baker as Scrooge on social media.
Tell me the story about the missing sweater.
Howie has always had this sweater that he got from the Ancient and Honorables, and he always had it on the inside of his office door. He didn't wear it a lot, but he really liked it. And because our office is always so cold, one time Howie told me I could use it, and then I just started wearing it a lot. And then one time I wore it back to my house, and I realized I couldn't find it. I was ripping through my dresser drawers. I was calling my parents. I need to find this zip-up. I ended up calling the guy from the Ancient and Honorables, and it was a miracle, but he had one in his house. And you know when a kid's hamster dies and you just replace it with the new hamster? When Howie wasn't looking, I just stuck the new zip-up behind his door. And to this day, I've never told him. So Howie, if you hear this, I am very sorry, but at least you have a beautiful zip-up.
Catch all of Grace Curley's stories weekdays right before Howie from 12 to 3 on The Grace Curley Show.
I tested positive. Let's use this example of me having it as proof that you can get it too. God forbid, the rest of us should be staying at home for our mothers and the people that we love. And to keep us farther apart will ultimately bring us closer together in this cause. We have to do everything we can to avoid being sick. No matter where the virus goes, the way to stop it will always be the same. Our collective conscientious actions. Staying home. Staying home saves lives. I don't want some jackass, loser, fat tire biker get in my face and in my space and talk to me. I don't want to hear it. All right, here is the official re-entry from the basement.
You're a phony! Hey, this guy's a great big phony!
Cleared by CDC. A little sweaty. Just worked out.
Oh, my.
Jane Swift is an embarrassment to working mothers everywhere.
Howie Carr, Boston Herald columnist and radio hitman.
She rushed home the night before Thanksgiving. What is the worst night of the year to drive? Worst of all, she goes on TV after the story broke, and she says,
"My challenges to be a good mother and a good lieutenant governor are different than any other working person."
But given the nature of Boston politics, using a state helicopter is not among the worst offenses politicians have committed.
Compared to putting a blonde in the pond.
Howie Carr's delicate description of Chappaquiddick.
Politics around here ain't beanbag. You know, if you step into the arena, you've got to...
Live from the Aviva Trattoria studio.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Grace Curley Show. We are at the 110 Grill in Woburn, and the place is rocking. I really appreciate everyone showing up, especially the people who came even before Howie Carr got here. Real ego boost for yours truly. By the way, Howie Carr is officially here. I know that because the donuts have been moved to the other side of the table. That was his first move. He got here, smelled them, and then moved them very far away. Interesting. We have to do the poll question here, but I want to set up a little bit of what I want to talk about because this was a great idea by the mailroom manager. She sent me this article, and it says, teens have their pick of jobs thanks to a worker shortage. And I was actually thinking about this because I did a lot of waitressing when I was younger, and you kind of had to be good. Like, you really had to, work your way up. You had to start as a hostess for a while. But now I think you could really skip over that because they need workers. You could go in and kind of pave your own way pretty quickly. And so, according to CNN, teenage workers are in high demand this summer, especially at Main Street businesses, and that will come as a relief since working teens were hard hit by pandemic-related layoffs. I was talking to Marcy the other day, and she said she gets applications all the time from kids who want summer jobs. Now, my question for my audience, my listeners, is what was your best summer job? Or, what could be even more interesting, what was your worst summer job? We've all had a job that we weren't crazy about. My best summer job was working at a very fancy restaurant in Martha's Vineyard. Made a lot of moolah and was very happy about it. And my younger brother at the time was working at a kids camp. And I called him up one night and I said, "Wait till I tell you how much I made in tips." And he said, "Please do not tell me that, because my job right now is so miserable. I'm wrangling these kids in. They're giving me a hard time." He was so miserable. And so, of course, I said to him, "All right, I won't tell you, but this is how much I made." And then I told him because I was just so excited about it. He's my brother. I had to rub it in. But I think whether you have great jobs in the summer or bad jobs, it's just good to be working. And I want to know what you guys did as kids, and would you suggest it? I think waiting tables is the best job for any teenager because it really does teach you how much goes into it. It teaches you how to prioritize things, how to get things done, how to help.
Yeah, how to interact with people too. So many kids these days do not know how to interact with people face to face.
Exactly. And Taylor, it also teaches you in your future when you go out to a restaurant how to treat waiters or servers, because you understand that sometimes things do go wrong, and sometimes the person you're talking to isn't the one responsible for something going wrong. So you give people a little bit more grace.
I'd recommend the movie Waiting for anybody who wants to know what goes on in the kitchens at some of these places.
Yeah, it is crazy. I remember one time I was at a restaurant and I was working there, and there's this expression where you say, "I need a cheeseburger on the fly," and what's implied is you forgot to put it in, you forgot to enter it into the system. And we used to have this thing there, and they would fry an entire lobster in a wok, and it was this big fancy thing. It cost like $100 to get it. And then most people would say, "I don't really like the looks of this, I'm going to send it back." But you'd put it in, and I totally forgot 3 of those orders. And so I went into the back kitchen and I said, I need 3 fried lobsters on the fly. And I remember the chef was a big guy, and he came out of that kitchen with like the bandana on his head, and he said to me, how the hell do you miss 3 meals? How do you forget to put in 3 meals? And I was just shaking there, like, I'm sorry. But it toughens you up. It teaches you, how to make mistakes, how to bounce back. And I just think it's a good thing for everyone to learn how to do. 844-500-4242. And we will take your calls on that. But first, today's poll question is brought to you by the Eden Pure Bio Speed Clean Vacuum Cleaner. Get this high-quality vacuum cleaner for a fraction of the price of competitors with code word GRACECLEAN. And save $20 plus free shipping at EdenPure.com. Taylor, what is the poll question, and what are the results thus far?
Who is the most terrible CNN anchor? Anderson Cooper, Chris Cuomo, Don Lemon, or Brian Stelter?
For me, it's definitely tight between Stelter and Cuomo. Because I did have to watch Stelter the other night for something to transcribe, and he's insufferable. But I think with Cuomo, with his older brother, and just his history of getting in fights with fat tire bikers, I'm going to say Chris Cuomo.
Cuomo has a decisive lead at 37%, followed closely by Don Lemon at 29% and Brian Stelter at 28%. Anderson Cooper only garnering 6% of the vote.
Wow, even in the polls, his ratings are low. Whether Anderson Cooper's on CNN or hosting Jeopardy, he never gets above 6%. That's pretty incredible. 844-500-4242. Now, Taylor, I'm glad we're talking about this because every time I mention an establishment, you say to me, I used to work there. It's like Howie Carr when he says, I used to live there. Howie's lived everywhere. Taylor's worked everywhere.
I've worked at Domino's, Wendy's, Honeydew Donuts. I've worked for a lot of places, but I would say my best summer job was also my worst, and that would have been caddying at the local country club in New Bedford.
Oh, a little caddy shack. Why was it the best and the worst?
It was the best because, you got to kind of hobnob with a lot of these, movers and shakers in the community. It was, it wasn't an exclusive club, but it was a country club. You had to have some money to be there, so you're hobnobbing with doctors and local politicians and things like that. And you got to play for free on Mondays if you were a caddy. So, before 10 o'clock in the morning, you want to hit the links. The course is free, which is a great boon to somebody who's not even eligible for membership because of their age. But it was also the worst because you would walk and carry somebody's bag for 4 hours and give them tips and whatnot on how to hit a shot and where the flag was and all of that, and you might get $10. It was gruesome some days. But I do remember one time I was caddying a ladies' 4-ball tournament, and the lady I was caddying for hit a hole-in-one on the 17th. I got a $50 tip. It was really nice.
Oh, very good. I think my best, like I said, was waitressing, because that's where the money is, but my worst was probably just being a camp counselor. It's especially if you're at like a fancier camp and the kids are all just woke little brats. I can't think of another word to use, and everyone's yelling, I'm allergic to that. It didn't do it for me. I was like, I gotta get out of this. I gotta start making some real money. But yeah, this is the interesting part of the story. It says one reason is that teens are now benefiting from the difficult time many small businesses are having trying to adequately staff their operations as pandemic restrictions are lifted. Now listen to this part, Taylor. Adult job applicants have been hard to come by. Many are unable to return to work yet because of childcare or health concerns. Some may have opted to leave their industry or simply choose to work at a bigger chain that pays better than its small business competitors. And others may be waiting until the $300 a week federal supplement to unemployment benefits expires. This is from CNN. This feels like a little bit of hate speech coming from them. I can't believe they wrote that line.
I've told Howie this several times. If I were a teenager this summer, I would try getting 2, 3, even 4 jobs. This is the summer to make money. And I'm sure you can get your foot in the door somewhere where you actually want to have a career. Even if it's at a low-level position, I'm sure you can quickly work your way up because there are a lot of open positions.
I would have just shot for bartending because that was the one thing I could never crack into. They were like, she's a okay waitress. She'll probably be a terrible bartender, but I think right now, if I could get into it, I mean, they need bodies, so maybe I'd have a shot at it. All right, Tom, you're next with Grace on the Grace Curley Show. Go ahead, Tom.
Hi, Grace.
What's up?
Thanks for taking my call.
Of course.
I want to talk about my first summer job. I was 14, and I worked on a chicken farm. And it was a very big chicken farm. They had huge barn-like hen houses. And what they would do in the fall is they'd put sawdust down on the floor as an absorbent. And then in the summer, we would go out there with pitchforks and break it up and throw it into the truck that was down below. I made 35 cents an hour in 1968.
Wowzers. So was that your best or your worst? I'm sorry, I missed it, Tom. Was that
really
your best?
Really bad. It was hot, and it smelled. And I didn't eat chicken for 5 years after that.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. And honestly, when people pick up chickens, the whole thing, everybody here knows I'm not a bird person, but they can get kind of, the little claws, they can get kind of vicious. Thanks for the call, Tom. I appreciate it. Bill, you're next with Grace on the Grace Curley Show. Go ahead, Bill.
Hello, good afternoon. I had one of the very best ones when I was very young. I was the lifeguard at the Holiday Inn, and what they didn't tell me was that it was kind of a businessman's hotel, so nobody ever swam in the pool. And I literally sat there all summer long reading paperback books at really good pay.
Yeah, I know. The lifeguards sometimes do have it made. Like, you know, especially if you're at a nice country club. The lifeguards on the beach, though, they do have to pay attention because that can get kind of scary. But I remember looking at the lifeguards when I was younger at the pool we used to go to, and I would say, I want to do that when I get older because it was always the cool kids who were the lifeguards. 844-500-4242. Thank you for the call, Bill. We'll be back on the other side. I want to hear your best summer job, your worst summer job, and maybe a tip you have for all the young teenagers who are looking to start working and start making some of this money that's just sitting around because the adults don't want to go back to work. 844-500-4242. It's the Grace Curley Show.
She's never held office, but she paid the Whiskey Priest's monthly rent once. She's Grace Curley.
It's been a long and lonely lockdown, especially for people like me who love to travel out and about. But now that vaccinations and spring are here, why not kick off the travel season and kick back on Southern Airways to beautiful nearby Nantucket Island? From Norwood, New Bedford, Providence, and now Hanscom Airfield, just west of Boston. You'll feel like a rock star and be in Nantucket in less than 40 minutes. Book your Nantucket getaway today at iflysouthern.com. That's iflysouthern.com. Or call 800-329-0485.
This is Kara with NASA Disposal. Do missed pickups and poor customer service have you ready to make the switch to another waste hauler? Give NASA Disposal a call and say goodbye to big companies with bad service. For a limited time, we're offering new year-round customers your first 2 months free, plus $50 off a junk removal project or dumpster rental. Visit nasadisposal.com for more info and sign up online using code 2FREE. NASA Disposal, cleaning and greening the Cape, and Plymouth 2, one stop at a time.
Howie says it all the time. When it comes to bad politicians, Massachusetts takes the cake.
It is my honor to introduce to you your senator, my senator, Senator Elizabeth Warren.
I know who I am because of what my mother and my father told me.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Governor Deval Patrick.
And frankly, I got to tell you, with all the other things I'm worrying about, this is not one of them. We're going to be fine. I'm in charge.
Please join me in welcoming our own Senator Ed Markey.
The planet is running a fever. There are no emergency rooms for planets.
The very first African-American congresswoman to be elected from Massachusetts, Ayanna Pressley.
We don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. We don't need black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't need Muslims that don't want to be a Muslim voice. We don't need queers that don't want to be a queer voice.
Let's give him a great Waterloo reception. John Kerry.
The Yankees posted the Boston Red Sox logo and they sang Sweet Adeline.
You've been hearing me talk about Super Beets for a while now, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, why Super Beets? You could take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I take them twice a day, once in the morning when I get up, even before I have my first cup of coffee, and the other time in the afternoon, right before the show. It gives me a burst of energy. It's great for my blood pressure. It's good for circulation. It just makes you feel better. If that doesn't convince you, we can talk about the science behind Super Beets. Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body, and even supports healthy blood pressure. But Super Beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared to other beet powders. Just one scoop of Super Beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. Go to superbeetsradio.com/Howie and try out Super Beets yourself. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie.
It's story time with Grace Curley. Tell me the story about driving back from the Matthews Brothers remote.
I was driving the mailer manager's car, and then she was driving their other car. She had Howie in her car, and I was by myself. And it was a snowstorm, and it was really, really, really bad. Like, I'm talking the worst conditions I've ever had to drive on in my entire life. It was so scary. I was sweating. I don't think I got home till like 3 in the morning. And I was like, I have to come in tomorrow and tell the mailer manager I can't do that again. And when I came in and, I kind of built up the courage to say it, and she looked at me and she said, "You can't do that again." I was sweating. My whole back was sweating. I'm never doing that again ever. So now if there's even like a little bit of snow coming, she'll say to me, "Do you want to stay at the hotel? Or do you want to, what should we do? How should we plan for this?"
Catch all of Grace Curley's stories weekdays right before Howie from 12 to 3 on The Grace Curley Show. And follow Grace on Twitter at @G_Curley.
Start the afternoon off right.
Now what? Here comes a girl. Here she is. This is just the best part of my day.
It's Grace Curley.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Grace Curley Show. We are at the 110 Grill in Woburn, having so much fun. I just had a delicious salad. Howie just chowed down on some food, and the place is rocking. I encourage everyone to head on down. You'll get a free book. John McCosh will be here soon taking professional photos for free. So if you want to get a photo, I encourage that as well. We're talking about best and worst summer jobs. Jobs you love, jobs you hated, jobs that taught you something, perhaps. Paul, you're next with Grace on the Grace Curley Show. Go ahead, Paul.
Hi, how you doing? Enjoying your show. I tell you, you did good for putting up years with Howie to get your own show. So kudos.
Thank you.
I'm gonna come out with my job, and then you figure out who's the best or the worst. Because I have a best job, but I also have a worst job. One job I took in a bakery, and I figured, pies, cake, cookies, and I said, this sounds pretty good. So I got there, and they stuck me in the back room in a steam thing where you shove the hands in there and steam them and scrape them off, and they gave me a promotion one time. They brought me out from the back, and they were getting a new oven put in. So I said, okay, good. I got out from the steam. So I had to move the oven away from the wall. There was about 12 of us. They pulled the oven away from the wall, which was nice and white and clean. And as the oven was coming away from the wall, it turned black with cockroaches.
Wow. Wow, yeah, Paul, that does sound crazy. I appreciate the call. Yeah, it's interesting, too, because it says before the pandemic, Jeff Rogoff would typically only hire teens as delivery drivers for his sit-down pizza restaurant in Saza, located in a suburb south of Denver. Rogoff always figured it wasn't worth his time and money to train people to work in his restaurant's kitchen if he knew they would leave in a few months when school starts. Plus, he added he has to abide by legal restrictions governing how long teens can work in a kitchen and the equipment they can use. But this summer, he had to change his tune. Job openings in the U.S. are soaring to 9.3 million. If a teenager came in and said, I can work for 3 months, I would hire them. It would be, yes, when can you start? Well, 3 months still isn't ideal. It would give me 3 more months than I have right now. Peggy, you're next with Grace on the Grace Curley Show. Go ahead, Peggy.
Hi, Grace. Great show as usual. My summer job story goes back to when I was in high school, and I was sort of like an office person in a police station, an MDC police station, and it was supposed to be 9 to 5, and it was just me and another girl, and all the police officers were so nice. They'd take off at 1 o'clock, take off at 1:30. They'd bring in lunch a couple of times a week, and it was like no supervision. It was fabulous.
So it was a little bit hacky, is what you're saying. It was a little bit like a hack job.
It really was, and I thought, this is what it's like to be in the working world. Man, count me in. And little did I know, as the years went on, what a rude awakening it was to get a real job.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel you. Actually, speaking of that, so Will, my fiance, he's an electrician, but he used to work in a toll booth. And it's funny because when I go out to restaurants, I always think about when I was a server. And so you're always nicer if you were a server to servers. But when he goes through a toll booth, he's a whole different guy. He starts beaming from ear to ear. Hi, how you doing? Thank you. Oh, yeah. And he always says to me, you got to be nice to the toll workers. I've been there. I'm like, what do you think I do, spit on the money? I'm not mean to them. I just drive through and keep going. Scott, you're next with Grace. Thanks for the call, Peggy. Go ahead, Scott.
Hi. Thanks, Scott. Great show. So I'm going to date myself, but many years ago I worked at Wellington Circle at a donut shop when I was 16, called Mr. Donut. And I would go in there after school and work from 4 to 8. So it was scrubbing floors, hard work, And one of my jobs was to make sure I pumped in jelly to the jelly donuts.
Ooh.
And the guy was really cute. He wanted me to measure the jelly that went into it, and he was always trying to cut the jelly, right? So when he wasn't there, I would take the squirter thing, and I would blow those things up like softballs,
So he wanted to do, because I've heard of this before too with other industries where, and I'm not going to name the location, but let's say you get a soft serve ice cream and they tell you to go around and don't fill up the center with the ice cream so you use less product. He was trying to do that with the jelly donuts.
That's what he was trying to do, but I resented that, and I said, look, I'm going to pump these things up like no tomorrow. So when somebody bites down, it's going to glue out there. So they'll get their fill of jelly and blueberries.
Yeah, so you were filling those jelly donuts. They were spite donuts. You were filling them full of jelly and spite. I do the same thing when Howie's not around. I stick my cans. I throw them away in the trash can. And when he walks by and sees them, it breaks his heart. He gets so sad. He's like, why do you keep doing this over and over again? I told you, I want to bring these in. And I'm like, yeah, but it makes me happy to just kind of toss them in there and see your reaction. Thanks for the call, Scott. I understand that. My mom used to work at a bakery when she was younger, and she said the guy who owned the bakery, his daughter would come in and kind of be like, my dad's the boss, and, blah, blah, blah. And my mom would get so mad that when she leaves, she'd start eating the product, just to be like, Yeah, exactly. She'd start, with the icing and all that. All right, guys, so when we get back, we got a lot of this sound to get to. I want to talk a little bit about Andrew Yang because he seemed to be getting very politically correct for a while. I don't know, Taylor, have you noticed that? I thought he was really shrinking away from some of this. But based off these cuts we have from him talking about the mentally ill in New York City, I think he might make a little bit of a comeback with New Yorkers.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, he's got the dog story to come back from, right? So this is in the opposite direction.
Yeah, that was so bizarre. It was like National Dog Day, and he tweeted out about a dog that he had sent to the farm or something. And maybe you sit this National Dog Day out, Andrew Yang. We'll be back, guys. Don't go anywhere. It's the Grace Curley Show.
A lot of us are going to be on the move again this summer. So my advice to you, take your Raycons with you. Whether you're working out to a pumped-up playlist or listening to a podcast on your commute, a pair of Raycon wireless earbuds in your ears can make all the difference. With Raycon, you get crisp, powerful beats at half the price of other premium audio brands. Their wireless earbuds look great and feel even better. They come in a range of cool colors with customizable gel tips for a comfortable in-ear fit. Raycons are built to go wherever wherever you go with quick and seamless Bluetooth pairing and a compact charging case. And with a 24-hour battery life, they're a must-have for your daily grind, all day, every day. Get 15% off Raycon at buyraycon.com/Howie. Raycon has a 45-day happiness guarantee, so give them a try. You'll be surprised you ever went anywhere without them. That's buyraycon.com/Howie for 15% off your order. buyraycon.com/Howie.
Joe Biden accuses Trump of being a racist, but if you listen to Biden's comments, you would agree that he doth protest too much.
If you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not, what do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
What do you say? The first mainstream African American who is articulate and bright and clean.
And Madam President, we have predators on our streets.
That kid wearing a hoodie may very well be the next poet laureate and not a gangbanger.
They are beyond the pale, many of those people.
God love you. You've been here all day. My Lord, you may feel like you're being incarcerated.
We have no choice but to take them out of society.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
I think the two-party system is good for the South and good for the Negro.
They're going to put you all back in chains.
Unlike the African American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community with incredibly different attitudes about different things.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
Are we starting to feel bad for Joe Biden? Sorta. Are we going to play his gaffes anyway? Of course.
My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate. Now we need to stand behind Jamie Harrison, the next president, next senator. I'm looking forward to appointing the first African-American woman to the United States Senate.
Just like here in California, here in Nevada.
Back in the spring, late fall, late spring, late winter, early fall, anyway, you know what I mean. Look, tomorrow's Superstar Tuesday. I tell you what, I'm rushing ahead, aren't I? We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing. It says you cannot have 20, 30, 40, 50 clips in a weapon. We'll see who's sleepy.
Mr. Vice President, thank you.
All right, Chuck, thank you very much.
All right, it's crisp.
Sometimes I wake up and I think it's 1920 and not 2020.
I'm here with Dr. Noristani for Balance 7. Dr. Noristani, how exactly does Balance 7 work to give you more energy?
Given the fact that what we eat and what goes inside of our body, your body starts building up what is called a acid load. Your fatigue level, your concentration level significantly decline. By taking Balance 7, it helps you to bring your pH back to normal so you could feel the amount of energy that's lost and restore some of the energy that you wouldn't have otherwise.
How does Balance 7 help my arthritis?
Acid buildup leads to increase and significant amount of inflammation. So when you take care of the underlying problem and allow your own body to fight its own battle, you'll see the significant benefit.
Can you take more than 3 shots a day?
If you feel like you need a dose or two throughout the day for a couple of days, then sure, you can go ahead and do that. It's safe.
Give Balance 7 a try. Order any of the 1-month supply and put in code word Howie for your first order. You'll save $10 and get free shipping. That's balance7.com, code word Howie.
I tested positive. Let's use this example of me having it as proof that you can get it too. God forbid, the rest of us should be staying at home for our mothers and the people that we love. And to keep us farther apart will ultimately bring us closer together in this cause. We have to do everything we can to avoid being sick. No matter where the virus goes, the way to stop it will always be the same. Our collective conscientious actions. Staying home. Staying home saves lives. I don't want some loser, fat tire biker get in my face and in my space and talk to me. I don't want to hear it. All right, here is the official re-entry from the basement.
You're a phony! Hey, this guy's a great big phony!
Cleared by CDC, a little sweaty, just worked out.
Oh my.
Are we starting to feel bad for Joe Biden? Sorta. Are we going to play his gaffes anyway? Of course.
My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate. Now we need to stand behind Jamie Harrison, the next president, next senator. I'm looking forward to appointing the first African-American woman to the United States Senate. Just like here in California, here in Nevada.
Back in the spring, late fall, late spring, late winter, early fall. Anyway, you know what I mean.
Look, tomorrow's Superstar Tuesday. I tell you what, I'm rushing ahead, aren't I? We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing. It says you cannot have 20, 30, 40, 50 clips in a weapon. We'll see who's sleepy.
Mr. Vice President, thank you.
All right, Chuck. Thank you very much.
All right. It's Chris.
Sometimes I wake up and I think it's 1920 and not 2020.
And now a namaste moment with Chris Cuomo.
Hope with me that today Dr. King's example inspires the many striving for better and enlightens the toxic few determined to be their worst.
You're going to have a problem. What are you going to do about it? I'll ruin your I'll throw you down these stairs like a punk.
We could not have a better reminder that you can't kill an idea with violence.
And I don't want some jackass, loser, fat tire biker to be able to pull over and get in my face and in my space.
And that violence can be used as a refuge for those coming from a place of animus and ignorance.
What's the best way to handle it? You just ignore it.
Naked choke?
No, just ignore
Punch
it.
to the sternum? As Dr. King taught us, darkness can only be removed by the light of truth. And love is the ultimate form of truth. I tested positive. Let's use this example of me having it as proof that you can get it too. God forbid, the rest of us should be staying at home for our mothers and the people that we love. And to keep us farther apart will ultimately bring us closer together in this cause. We have to do everything we can to avoid being sick. No matter where the virus goes, the way to stop it will always be the same. Our collective conscientious actions. Staying home. Staying home saves lives.
I don't want some jackass, loser, fat tire biker get in my face and in my space and talk to me. I don't want to hear it.
All right, here it is. The official re-entry from the basement.
You're a phony! Hey, this guy's a great big phony!
Cleared by CDC. A little sweaty. Just worked out.
Oh, my.
Hello, all the participants in tonight's event. We can overcome the deadly virus. We can reward work. We will reclaim our credibility. The pandemic, we need all our strength to persevere. Rural versus urban. America built of decency. I took it to instill public confidence in the vaccine. President-elect Harris took hers today for the same reason. Everybody is entitled to be treated with decency. All my colleagues I serve with in the House and the Senate up here. James Joyce was said to have told a friend. I understand they worry about their jobs.
She's the Boston Herald's wittiest wordsmith, the last woman standing at the Whiskey Priest. Once a very legitimate magazine that we definitely didn't make up named her the Michael Jordan of radio. Wait, don't you think we're laying it on a little thick here, Grace?
Just stick to the script.
Oh, okay. Live from the Aviva Trattoria studio, it's the Grace Curley Show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Grace Curley Show. We are at the 110 Grill in Woburn having so much fun. Thank you to everyone for coming out for my show. I'm sure a lot of you are going to stick around for Howie's show. We're having an absolute blast, and the food here is amazing. Come on down, get yourself a free book, and just have a little bit of fun. It's nice to have things back open and normal and see people without masks on enjoying their lives. Something that's very not normal is the amount of politicians or state workers who are having Zoom problems. I did not think this was going to be the outcome of this pandemic, was learning how many people, when they say they're working from home, that means they're working without pants on. Now, this is not to the extent of Jeffrey Toobin, so I don't want to scare anyone. This next story, it doesn't go he doesn't go full Toobin, but it's still pretty bad. New Jersey Democrat rep caught on Zoom meeting in boxers, and that wasn't all. Zoom meetings took off after the pandemic. This is from Red State. And it makes sense why. I mean, it's very convenient. A lot of people are working from home. They got to go on Zoom. But it's also led to some embarrassing or troubling issues. Now, this guy, his name is Representative Donald Payne, apparently had been sleeping or lying down in bed during the meeting, wearing a Captain America t-shirt that was too small to cover his belly in what looked like boxer shorts. He got up out of the bed with the camera focused on his naked belly and the top of his shorts. Representative Yvette Clark kept speaking. She was reading something and didn't appear to notice what was happening. Meanwhile, the reaction of another rep was priceless, complete shock. Then she covered her mouth to stop from laughing. The meeting was oddly, ready for this? It was about cyber security. These are the people who are working on our cyber security.
There should at least be a sweatpants minimum, right? You should be wearing something instead of just your underwear.
Taylor, I could not agree more. I think there should also be a chair requirement. I don't think people need to be doing these meetings from couches or soft surfaces or beds. Anything that's going to tempt you to kind of lay down, I don't think that's a good idea. And this isn't the first time we've seen this. Obviously, Jeffrey Toobin was the extreme. And I don't have to remind you guys about that. A lot of people here are eating delicious food from 110 Grill, so we won't get into that. But there was also people trying to take these Zoom calls from their bathroom. And it's like, if you know that the camera has even a possibility of being on, sit at your kitchen counter, right? I mean, it's kind of basic. Put the pants on and sit at the kitchen counter. I'm all for comfort, but... And this is the craziest part, is that the Congresswoman Beth Van Doon, she tweeted out, another reason Democrats should get off Zoom and back to work, hashtag the struggle is real. And now they're accusing her, after she tweeted that out.
Fat shaming?
Of fat shaming. This is what one woman said. She said, it's no secret that as a diabetic, the congressman has his weight struggles, but we try to stick to policy here in Congress.
Wait a second. Was he a diabetic before he was fat, or is he a diabetic because he's fat?
Well, Taylor, for me, it doesn't matter because I don't think you're fat-shaming someone if you just ask people to put pants on. Like, it has nothing to do with his weight. Everyone should have... And you know what?
I disagree. This story would be different if this were some sort of senator or representative who stood up and accidentally showed off his washboard abs. He'd be a meme. He'd be a viral star. People would want to. He would be on Good Morning America. He'd be on Morning Joe. He'd be giving out workout tips.
No, you're probably right. But as far as the Grace Curley rule, I don't care. I still, if I'm on a Zoom meeting, I don't want to be surprised by anything. I think this is honestly why Zoom meetings have to end. And forget the no pants thing. Let's just talk about the waste of time. People go on these meetings and they FaceTime and they get nothing.
Did you see what you did there? The waste of time?
Yeah, I didn't mean to do that. But do you agree with me, Taylor? I mean, I've talked to people before who have to go on these things, and it's not like a 10-minute meeting. They're on these FaceTimes or Zooms or Google Meeting or whatever it's called all day, just staring at one another, muting and unmuting their mics.
Yeah, they definitely can be summed up in an email. I'm sure in most cases. This could have been an email.
Most things nowadays could have been an email. So I feel bad for that guy, but sometimes you always have to, in radio we always act like the mics are hot, even if they're not. If you're around a mic, you don't say anything you wouldn't say on the air. I feel that way around laptops now, too. Unless the laptop is fully closed, operate as if someone is watching
I've
you.
always been the guy to put tape over the camera, even if the switch is off. I've got the camera taped up.
Oh, 1,000%. I don't think that's that crazy. You don't know who's on the other side of that thing. I do want to go here briefly, Taylor, because we have the Crazy Karen segment coming up at 2:30. But I wanted to talk a little bit about this Andrew Yang thing. I think people would be interested to hear this audio. I'm shocked to hear a progressive Democrat talking about this. He's talking about mentally ill homeless people in New York City, and it's actually the timing of it is kind of funny because I had a man come in here before the show started, and he works with a lot of people on methadone mile and also a lot of people who have mental illness and struggle. And he was telling me how this is just a problem that gets ignored by both sides. People want to pretend it doesn't exist. And Andrew Yang decided to talk about it. So let's go through these in order. Let's start with cut one, please, Taylor.
The fact is mentally ill, homeless men are changing the character of our neighborhoods. A woman my wife Evelyn is friends with in her mom group in Hell's Kitchen was punched in the face by a mentally ill man. Sent a picture of her bruised face around the mom group, spread like wildfire. This is happening in New York City, and we're not talking enough about it. Families are leaving as a result. In East Harlem, the neighborhood has been changed. Upper West Side, the neighborhood has been changed.
Yeah, and it's absolutely true. I can't go on the New York Post, I can't go on Twitter without seeing a video, a lot of times at bodegas, of people getting the crap kicked out of them and then other people just watching. And it usually does seem, they don't necessarily always steal either. It's these violent attacks on random people, and it keeps happening. Let's do cut two, please.
We're talking about the hundreds of mentally ill people we all see around us every day on the streets and the subways. We need to get them off of our streets and our subways into a better environment. And when you ask what I'm going to do differently, I'm going to rebuild the stock of psych beds in our city because the number's gone down 14%. It should be going up 100%.
Well, you know what's interesting about this, Taylor, is Bill de Blasio's wife, Shirlane McRae. She at one point was put in charge of, I think it was called Thrive NYC, and it was she was a big mental health advocate and got a lot of money for it too, I think, and the city has never been in worse shape. So I think it's a really good issue for Andrew Yang to bring up. I think he'll get a lot of support for it. Let's try cut three.
Yes, mentally ill people have rights, but you know who else have rights? We do. The people and families of the city. We have the right to walk the street and not fear for our safety because a mentally ill person is going to lash out at us.
Yeah, I can't believe he said that, but I think he's right on with it. I mean, I can't even describe to you. So I have a sibling who wants to move to New York City, and it terrifies me. And it's not because I don't like New York City. I think everyone wants to have a part in their, a time in their life where they go there and have fun and, feel like Carrie Bradshaw and walk the streets. But it's in a bad spot right now. And the first part of any problem is admitting that there's a problem. And Bill de Blasio is not doing that. Bill de Blasio is walking around talking about vaccines and Shake Shack and eating on camera. I mean, there's just no question that Bill de Blasio is not cut out for this. Yeah, so this is an old article. It says, with opaque budget and elusive metrics, $850 million Thrive NYC program attempts a reset. Since its inception in 2015, Thrive NYC, the city's sprawling $850 million initiative to address a variety of mental health issues, has operated without much scrutiny or accountability. With few public metrics by which to measure its success so far, you know what that's code for. There's been no success. With few public metrics to measure its success. The fact that people can't walk down the street in New York City is a pretty good sign of its success.
And here's another metric of success. There's a video circulating Twitter right now, put out by NYPD News, of a man who is chasing down another man, and the man pushes down the second man and starts shooting at him. What you may not know is that he pushed him onto two young children and started reaching around the children to open fire on this man. They were almost caught in the crossfire. It's despicable.
Absolutely despicable, and it's not just in New York City. It's a real problem, and I think that politicians who are open about addressing it and acknowledging it, at the very least, just saying that it's an issue, they're already ahead of the curve, and they're already going to get a lot of support because of that. We will be back on the other side. We've got the poll question. We've got Crazy Karen coming up. And we've got a lot of sound that I think you guys are going to want to hear. So don't go anywhere. It's the Grace Curley Show. Eden Pure has done it again. You know them for the Thunderstorm Air Purifier and Gen 40 Space Heater. These are high-quality products and way below what competitors charge, which is what I like. Now Eden Pure has come out with the BioSpeed Clean Vac. This vac is so light I can pick it up with one hand. No lugging a big piece of equipment around and no cords. The BioSpeed Clean Vac has no bags, so you can even save more money than you're already saving. Also, it's not just a vac, but a handheld device too. It easily comes apart so you can use it on your sofa. If you have pets, you're in luck because the BioSpeed Clean has a powerful 8,000 kPa suction to get up all the cat and dog hair. That kind of stuff drives me crazy when you find those little hairs everywhere. This is the perfect product to get rid of that. We couldn't believe how it sucked up pieces of cardboard left over from boxes that had just arrived at the studio. Upgrade to the BioSpeed and stop buying bags for good. Stop lugging the heavy equipment around. Stop yanking the cord out. The BioSpeed Clean Vac is $200 less than competition prices, and shipping is free. Order now as inventory is very low, but you can still get it if you go to EdenPure.com. Click on the Grace banner, put in code word GraceClean, and save an additional $20. That's EdenPure.com and code word GraceClean. We'll be right back. This is the Grace Curley Show.
You're listening to the Grace Curley Show.
What impact do you think Russian interference had in the election?
I think it was one of the major contributors to the outcome.
Years from the 2016 election, and Hillary Clinton still can't accept the results. Take a listen.
You know, you can run the best campaign. You can be the person who gets the nomination. You could lose. I believe he knows he's an illegitimate president. He knows.
The one thing that Trump is fearful of when it comes to his being president is that finally we will see how illegitimate his victory actually was.
This wasn't on the level. Flashing videos that appear and then disappear, and they're on the dark web and nobody can find them. It's like applying for a job and getting 66 million letters of recommendation and losing to a corrupt human tornado. So maybe there does need to be a rematch. I mean, obviously, I can beat him again. So, of course, he's obsessed with me.
Why you always lying? I don't think we should ever shake hands ever again, to be honest with you.
Just forget about shaking hands. We don't need to shake hands. We got to break that custom.
Right now, given what we're going through and maybe forever, nobody should be shaking hands. And I mean that.
If you're swiping on a dating app like Tinder or Bumble or Grindr and you match with someone,
If you want to go a little bit more intimate, well, then that's your choice regarding a risk.
We may get to the point where I hope it's going to be in the fall where everything is back to normal. The only requirement might be to wear a mask.
I hope that next Mother's Day we're going to see a dramatic difference. There's no guarantee that we will have a safe and effective vaccine.
I feel extreme confidence in the safety and the efficacy of this vaccine.
Once the process is complete, does that mean they can take off their mask?
You know, I would recommend that that's not the case. If you're vaccinated and you're outside, put aside your mask. You don't have to wear it. You can trust me.
They're outlandish, they're outrageous, and they're hypocrites. They're the women of The View.
Bernie was so menschy in that moment, like a real guy. I actually am aroused by him.
Timothy McVeigh was a Christian. Just saying.
Hitler was a Christian.
Well, he didn't like the Catholics.
Trump needs to be medicated and hospitalized at this point, or he is going to just kill all of us.
I mean, do we have to wait till the hammer and sickle is on the American flag before we stand up to this guy?
Joy, you've worn blackface.
I did not go in blackface, please.
No, she was not in blackface.
Thank you.
It was a Halloween party. I went as a beautiful African woman. Did you have tanning lotion on, Joy? A little. I had makeup that was a little bit darker than my skin.
I'm hoping Dr. Jill becomes a Surgeon General. She's a hell of a doctor.
Whoopi, you said that Roman Polanski, it wasn't rape.
I know it wasn't rape.
Child molest, maybe? I'm not sure.
It was something. It was something else, but I don't believe it was rape.
Follow Grace on Twitter at @G_Curly.
Oh, a little We Didn't Start the Fire. Very good. We are here at the 110 Grill in Woburn. Everyone is so nice. Oh my God, it makes me want to cry. Everyone is just being so lovely. The food is great. I got a little salmon with a citrus salad. Absolutely delicious. And Rooster's leaving. Bye, Rooster. Thank you very much. Thank you for the donuts. We very much appreciate that. I don't think I'll see any more of them because he's here now and he took them with him. But I appreciate the thought. All right, guys. So now here's a story that I have right in front of me, and it's from the Wall Street Journal. Avocado thieves discover that money does grow on trees. This is from South Africa. Avocado farmer Mark Alcock has motion-activated infrared cameras dotting 170 acres of groves that send intruder alerts to his phone. It's just getting out of hand. South Africa is the world's 6th largest avocado exporter, and farmers like Mr. Alcock are entangled in a cat-and-mouse game with fruit thieves who abscond with thousands of pounds at a time. As the value of the product rises, the accessibility of it rises because there's more being planted. The property is guarded by an electric fence standing more than 7 feet high and topped with barbed wire. Guards patrol the farm 24/7. It seems a bit drastic, Mr. Blight said, but avocados are the green gold. Oh my gosh. The drama from these people, but I mean, maybe it's true.
People love their guacamole, so you got to protect the avocados.
People do love their guacamole, and I like an avocado. Don't get me wrong, Taylor, okay? I'm not trying to get the avocado stands to come after me. It's, I've offended so many groups in my time here.
I have half an avocado every morning.
I've offended the Beagle people, the bicyclists, the cyclists people, all sorts of groups. There's more that I'm forgetting. So I want to make it clear, I do like an avocado, but Taylor, I can only do them in doses. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not one of these people that buys 7 at a time. I just like a little avocado. If I have too much, it's like bananas. If I have too much, I fall off of it.
So here's what's great. Sometimes I'll mash it up. I'll put it on my toast. But what I usually do is they have a brand of hot sauce called Cholula. It's the green verde. Green verde is green, but it's the green Cholula. Put that on it. Or get everything bagel seasoning. And just sprinkle that on top.
I've done both, and I agree. The lure of avocado theft spans oceans. The California Avocado Commission has a theft reporting hotline. In Mexico, rival drug cartels battle for a slice of the multi-billion-dollar fruit trade. The global avocado market is expected to grow from about $12.2 billion in 2020 to $17.9 billion by 2025. How is Howie Carr not involved in the avocado business? This sounds very lucrative. Avocado theft in South Africa used to be small potatoes. They would be stolen to eat or sold by the roadside. Robbers now work closely with organized crime networks that can launder the fruit into legitimate markets, according to the Global Initiative Against Transnational Organized Crime. Large gangs launch choreographed raids on farms, washing their loot, packing them in boxes, and hawking them in markets across the country.
I wonder if avocado farms were on Joe Biden's list that he gave to Vladimir Putin of critical infrastructure.
You can't hack this. I specifically am asking you to leave the avocados alone. The heists are disrupting the supply and price of avocado toast everywhere, from Cape Town to Copenhagen. Howie, they wrote this in such a dramatic fashion, this piece. I really like it. At upscale restaurants, avocados have found their way atop pizzas and into ice cream. In the beginning, guys would come and steal now and then, and it would be with a supermarket bag for their house. Now they come in here and at night and they just go crazy. Craig Copen, co-director of K9 Security, the company Mr. Alcock hired, pivoted from anti-rhino poaching to anti-avocado poaching 4 years ago. Every night he oversees at least 100 guards and supervisors on duty.
I mean, at least you don't have to worry about the avocados attacking you, whereas rhinos can charge.
Yes, no, I would agree with that.
That's a good career move.
Yeah, it is kind of amazing that this is becoming quite the business or the crime sprees are happening around avocados. I like avocados, but not this much. Guys, when we get back, it's time for the Crazy Karen segment. If you want to call in with your Crazy Karen story, you can, 844-500-4242. There was actually 2 Karen stories in the New York Post. One was about flying, which seems to be kind of the last bastion for a lot of Karens, is on the flights, because you still have to wear your mask on planes. So Karens still feel like they can rule the skies. You know, they don't have much control over us here at 110 Grill. But when you're above, when you're flying in the sky, Karens can tell you what to do. I actually was flying with the mailroom manager, I think it was a couple weeks ago. We were going to the Talkers and the Talkers convention, and there's this rule that if you have a drink in your hand, you can have your mask down. But if you're not actively drinking it, they'll snap at you. And they snapped. One of the women, the flight attendant, snapped at the mailroom manager because she said, "I'm sorry, I didn't hear you." And she said, "I said put your mask on." Really snapped. And I kind of looked at her like, whoa. That's my boss you're speaking to.
Yeah, don't get snippy with the mailroom manager. That's bad news bears.
You don't get snippy with MRM. I was like, whoa, hold on a second. But there's stuff like that happens all the time, and I think now what's really happening, it's happening in 2 places. Public transportation, so I'm going to say three places. Public transportation, airports, and schools. I think the teachers are still yelling at the kids for not following the mask rules. I want to hear from you guys, 844-500-4242. Before I tell you about an eye mask fiasco on JetBlue, don't go anywhere. It's the Grace Curley Show.
I'm here with Dr. Noristani for Balance 7. Dr. Noristani, how exactly does Balance 7 work to give you more energy?
Given the fact that what we eat and what goes inside of our body, your body starts building up what is called a acid load. Your fatigue level, your concentration level significantly decline. By taking Balance 7, it helps you to bring your pH back to normal so you could feel the amount of energy that's lost and restore some of the energy that you wouldn't have otherwise.
How does Balance 7 help my arthritis?
Acid buildup leads to increased and significant amount of inflammation. So when you take care of the underlying problem and allow your own body to fight its own battle, you'll see the significant benefit.
Can you take more than 3 shots a day?
If you feel like you need a dose or 2 throughout the day for a couple of days, then sure, you can go ahead and do that. It's safe.
Give Balance 7 a try. Order any of the 1-month supply and put in code word Howie for your first order. You'll save $10 and get free shipping. That's balance7, the number 7.com, code word Howie.
Good evening, my fellow Americans. Tonight, I'd like to talk to you about
the resources, the American Rescue Plan, and we need it urgently.
You and your family could travel coast to coast without a single tank of gas on board a high-speed train.
Dogs may help cure cancer. Not a joke.
Risk more cases and more deaths. Now, when President Harris and I took tailoring combat uniforms for women, creating maternity flight suits, we need to prevent the supply chain crisis from hitting in the first place. These millstones no longer mark our national mourning. These milestones, I should say, no longer mark our national mourning.
Dr. Fauci assured me that COVID-19 vaccines were safe.
We owe you an incredible debt. I've said for many years. Okay, where am I here? Let me see. I don't know, to be clear.
A lot of us are going to be on the move again this summer. So my advice to you, take your Raycons with you. Whether you're working out to a pumped-up playlist or listening to a podcast on your commute, a pair of Raycon wireless earbuds in your ears can make all the difference. With Raycon, you get crisp, powerful beats at half the price of other premium audio brands. Their wireless earbuds look great and feel even better. They come in a range of cool colors with customizable gel tips for a comfortable in-ear fit. Raycons are built built to go wherever you go with quick and seamless Bluetooth pairing and a compact charging case. And with a 24-hour battery life, they're a must-have for your daily grind, all day, every day. Raycon has a 45-day happiness guarantee, so give them a try. You'll be surprised you ever went anywhere without them. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. Buyraycon.com/Howie. Buyraycon.com/Howie.
It's story time with Grace Curley. Tell me the story of how the Dirty Rats podcast happened.
We were sitting in a staff meeting, and I started talking about how I love true crime podcasts. I listen to them all the time on my ride home, and the mailroom manager suddenly said, "Wait a second, we have true crime." And she started, pointing out all of the books behind us at the staff meeting that were all of Howie's books about Whitey Bulger. Howie wrote it. Howie at first was going to voice it, but it started to sound a little bit too old-time radio, and we wanted something a little bit more modern. And then Taylor read for it, and he had that voice. It just worked. Happy to say it turned out great, and it was really fun. And I was pleasantly surprised at how good it sounded.
Catch all of Grace Curley's stories weekdays right before Howie from 12 to 3 on The Grace Curley Show. And follow Grace on Twitter at @G_Curley.
Joe Biden accuses Trump of being a racist, but if you listen to Biden's comments, you would agree that he doth protest too much.
If you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not, what do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
The first mainstream African American who is articulate and bright and clean.
And Madam President, we have predators on our streets.
That kid wearing a hoodie may very well be the next poet laureate and not a gangbanger.
They are beyond the pale, many of those people.
God love you. You've been here all day. My Lord, you may feel like you're being incarcerated.
We have no choice but to take them out of society.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
I think the two-party system is good for the South and good for the Negro.
They're going to put you all back in chains. Unlike the African American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community with incredibly different attitudes about different things. If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Live from the Aviva Trattoria studio.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Grace Curley Show. Thank you all so much for being here today, especially to everyone who came at the very beginning. I really appreciate it. You guys are all wonderful. Everyone's been saying the nicest things, and everyone's having so much fun. I love it. I love seeing maskless, happy, credulous boomer rubes. That's what I like to see. All right, now it is time, Taylor, for the Crazy Karen segment. Do we have the sound for that? I'll give you a second.
Her name could be Gina or Beth. She just wants a latte.
I'm putting you on citizen's arrest right now.
Are you serious? For what?
But with a slight inconvenience, she grows angry and outraged.
I have a right to sue you for harassing me, the manager, and this entire company.
And a startling metamorphosis occurs.
Hey, I have seen you around this neighborhood too many times. This is ridiculous.
She becomes the Crazy Karen.
You being a gonna help?
I didn't say anything.
I don't know. Calm down. Calm down. Ma'am, I'm trying to.
All right, I'll never get sick of that segment music. I have two stories here, and at first I thought they were just going to be quick stories, and I was really going to go to the calls, and I still will if people have Karen's stories they want to say. But I think this is a good example of Karen as a state of mind. A lot of people think, well, I haven't had a run-in with anyone recently via the mask issue, so I don't have anything to call in about. But Karens are everywhere. And the masks are just their latest problem. These people, there's always people who can't mind their own business. And I have a feeling everyone here is going to really enjoy this story, all right? This happened on JetBlue. It's a video of a JetBlue passenger being berated by a flight attendant for being gifted an eye mask, and it's been viewed over 1.2 million times on TikTok. Tyler Weitzman was traveling on JetBlue from Fort Lauderdale to Los Angeles last week. It was an early morning flight, and he didn't get much sleep the night before. As he boarded the plane, he saw the flight attendant handing out amenity kits to passengers in Mint. Now, if you guys haven't heard of Mint, I've only been on it once. It was a work trip, so Howie Carr actually footed the bill for it. That's the reason I was able to go on Mint, because it's expensive. But it's really, really nice. It's like first class. You can recline your seat. You really feel like a beautiful person when you're on it. Now, this guy was not on Mint, but his flight had the Mint option. So he sees all these fancy people in the Mint section getting these eye masks. So he says to the flight attendant, "Can I get an eye mask?" And she says, "No, they're only available for the Mint section, the first class," which is totally fine. That's true. You pay extra, you get the little kit. And he says, "Okay, well, if anyone has an extra, I'll take it." And she, she's a full-blown Karen, so she's not going to give him an extra. That's fine, again. But here's where it gets interesting. So he's in, the back of the plane, coach, and a woman overheard him say that to the flight attendant. A beautiful person in first class heard him say that. So she walks back 10 minutes later and says, "I heard what you said about wanting an eye mask. I have this extra one I'm not going to use. Here you go. You can have mine." And this is when a Karen comes alive. This is a real perfect example of a Karen. And I'm going to read to you how this conversation went, okay? And here's how you'll distinguish it. My Karen voice will be different from my passenger voice, okay? So try to follow along. "Sir, I need to take that mask, please." I'm sorry? "You didn't buy a Mint seat, so you can't use the Mint products." He says, "Well, do you have snooze kits available for sale?" "Those kits are not available for sale. You can buy them online, but you cannot buy them on the airplane. You can't even buy them online right now." He says, "Well, I think it's a little ridiculous." She says, "But I don't have 143 other masks to give everybody else on the airplane a mask. That's not fair. Why can you get one, but they can't have one?" And he says, "You didn't give me the mask, though. You did your job." She says, "Yes, but you got it from the customer sitting in Mint." And the guy says, "You gave a customer sitting there a Mint product. Yes, not for you, for him to use." And he says, "It wasn't a sir that gave it to me." She says, "What's to keep people from bringing all of their food and blankets back there to their friends? They can't do that either." This woman is the most dedicated flight attendant I have ever seen. She is willing to risk it all for this eye mask. And the immediate thing I think of is actually a story that I hope she's okay with me telling this, the mailer manager, but she told me this last week. She was at I think it was like a Delta, what do they call those? The Delta Suites, or the special place for the Delta beautiful people. The Delta Club, thank you. And she's walking over and she says, can I go in here and whatever? And the woman says, "No, you can't, because it's not on your ticket," or whatever. And a man is there, and he says, "Oh, she's my guest. I'll pay for her. She can come in with me." And the woman says to the mailer manager, "No, you guys don't know each other." How would she know that? These people are so into being the hall monitors. And then what that reminded me of is the craziest story. When my dad was 50 years old, he turned 50. He went to the Red Sox game for his birthday. He went up to buy a beer. He gave the woman his license, and it had expired that day. She said, "I can't give you a beer at Fenway today because your license is expired." My dad said, "I'm a 50-year-old man. It's my birthday today. I'm 50 years old." And she says, "I realize that, but your license is expired. I can't serve you." He says, "Okay, no problem." His friend goes up, buys 2 beers, which you're allowed to do, turns around, hands my dad one of the beers, and the woman says, "Excuse me, sir, you cannot take that beer from him. Your license is expired." We're talking,
God.
Taylor, we're talking people who are so committed to their cause, which is to be complete pains for everyone else, that they won't stop.
Yeah, you kind of have to plan ahead for stuff like that. I mean, if your dad knew that his license was expired, he should have expected to see that coming. Sorry, Mr. Curley. But so this happened to me the other day. I went to the movies for the first time in over a year and a half with my wife, and they have a bar there at the movie theater. But she had forgotten her purse, so I said, all right, go in the theater. I'll buy us 2 beers because you're allowed to buy a maximum of 2, and I'll go back into the movie theater and hand you the beer. And there was no problem.
See, yeah, but you weren't dealing with a Karen bartender. That's the difference.
But here's the thing, though. I brought the beer to my wife, and she took a sip. She says, are you sure this is this beer? And I said, I think so. She said, I don't like it. So I had to bring it back, and they said, oh, okay, well, we can't give you another beer until this one is gone. So I had to stand there because I couldn't tell them that she didn't like the beer because they said, we didn't see her buy that, so we have to see her license. So I had to stand there and chug that beer in order to get my wife another beer.
Wow.
That's dedication. That's what marriage is all about.
Yeah, you know what? That's taking one for the team. That's a good husband right there, willing to chug the beer for his wife. Now, there's another Karen story that was on the New York Post. Dad writes note to Karen, who forced him to tear down his kid's treehouse.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this treehouse.
A photo of the note was posted on Reddit where it went viral. Oh, I guess there's a Reddit called You Karen. We're going to have to check that out from now on. So this woman issued a complaint about the treehouse, and this is the note he put on the tree. Don't worry, you're safe now. Your act of casual cruelty was successful. The complaint you lodged with the HOA was heard. They had made me take down the small tree fort that I built on this location with my sons during the pandemic. This is so sad. No longer will its presence offend your walk past my house. Please enjoy your stroll, free from the sound of my children's play and laughter. They are safely back inside now, watching television, I'm sure. Enjoy the obstructed view of my backyard. I will try to keep it up to code. Best, Dave.
Oh, come on, Dave. You got to have some more fight in you than that.
No, I like that. I think that's I think if I'm that woman who did that, I would feel so bad. Like, what has my life come to that I'm making people tear down tree houses?
No, you got to go the Tony Soprano way. And the guy wouldn't give him back the deposit on his house, so he took out the boat into the beachfront property and just started blasting a Dean Martin concert at all hours of the morning until the guy gave him his deposit back. That's what you got to do.
That's one way to go about it. Joe, you're next with Grace on the Grace Curley Show. Go ahead, Joe.
Okay. First of all, Taylor, I want to say, what a man you are. You are a protector of that woman, and I applaud you, sir.
Not all heroes wear capes, and we don't always ask for plaques either.
And they don't all have badges. So anyways, fast. I went to a restaurant, and this woman was sitting across the table from me. I know her, and she was explaining how she was watching a program on Exonerated, and how someone was, wrongly convicted. And under my breath, I went, "You mean like Donald Trump?" And she starts screaming at me in the restaurant, right across. No! She goes, he's got 74 million votes. They're not all lies. It's, talking about Biden or whatever it was. I don't remember all the facts because I was too busy getting yelled at. And I had to do this. Stop! And that ended that conversation.
Yeah, Joe, that actually happened recently to my parents. They were out to dinner, and this woman started talking to my mom about, it's so nice to be able to talk to people, it's so nice to be able to be out and talking with people who have different opinions than you. And my mom was like, oh, yeah, the conversation's going. And the girl goes, because if you watch Newsmax or Fox News, you're pretty much, you're just getting fed propaganda. And she didn't realize that, Mr. and Mrs. Curley do watch Newsmax. And, in fact, sometimes they watch Howie Carr and Grace Curley on Newsmax. And my mom said, well, what's the alternative? CNN and MSNBC? And the woman, just like Joe just said, the conversation went from how nice it is that we can talk civilly to screaming. And her husband kept having to say to her, hey, calm down. He just wanted to, have a beer and go home. He's like Taylor. At that point, he was just chugging his. But she was all upset. And she said, Joe Biden has done so much for this country already. And my mom said, name one thing. Just one. Give me one thing. He killed 40,000 jobs right off the bat when he took over with the Keystone Pipeline. And here's a tip for everybody. Karens, liberals, but I repeat myself, they don't like numbers. If you start telling them facts, that's poking a bear, which Joe probably figured out. All right, guys, when we get back, we're joined by Howard Lawrence Carr, so don't go anywhere. This is, you know what? Let's take one more. I don't want to miss a Karen story. Maria, you're next with Grace on the Grace Curley Show. Go ahead, Maria.
Hi. I just want to make a comment on something you said a few minutes ago about the lady, the hostess on the airplane not giving the guy an eye mask, and then your dad being denied a beer because his license expired.
Yeah.
These people are not doing their job so well. They are on power trips. They have this little bit of power, and they just use it like they are kings and queens of England. They love having power, and that's what it's all about.
I agree, Maria, and that's what I noticed about the kids in Exeter in New Hampshire, who they were being marked for the prom, like who was vaccinated and who wasn't. I was thinking, this is just the teachers. They know that this is ending, and they're just loving it. So they go, okay, you know what we'll do? We'll start marking the kids, and that will give us a little bit of a rush of power again, and we'll remember how it feels. It's crazy. And there's something crazy that happens to people when they start to get power. People like yelling at people. Have you noticed that? I don't like yelling at people. I go to the grocery store and I'm in the wrong line, or I'm walking down the wrong way, or I'm too close to the cash register. A lot of people, they get their kicks by just screaming at you. And it's like, ooh, I didn't realize we were going from 0 to 100 that quickly over, looking at the arrows the wrong way in the soup section. All right, guys, when we get back, we're going to talk to Howie Carr, so don't go anywhere. It's the Grace Curley Show.
Follow Grace on Twitter at @G_Curley.
This hour of the Grace Curley Show is brought to you by Moby Dick's on Route 6 in Wellesley. Don't let the lines deter you. The food is well worth the wait. From their seafood gumbo to their famous lobster rolls, Moby Dick's has it all. Check out their menu at mobys.com.
Summer is a time for excitement, whether it's a time for leaving your cares behind and going on vacation for a few days, or just leaving your comfort zone and trying something new today with HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, I can try new dishes without the usual hassles of cooking something for the first time. No puzzling over complicated directions or hunting down ingredients I'll only use once. And no need to put grocery shopping and meal planning on my summer calendar. HelloFresh offers more than 27 meals to choose from every week, with new recipes being constantly added. There are meal options for different dietary lifestyles, even quick dinners and 10-minute lunches. Perfect for switching things up. And with pictures, easy-to-follow directions, and pre-measured ingredients, each dish is easier to make than the last. Go to HelloFresh.com/Howie12 and use code Howie12 for 12 free meals across 4 boxes, including free shipping on your first box. That's code Howie12 at HelloFresh.com/Howie12.
Which 2 words best describe the Biden administration?
Well, I families should be the rapidly rising I don't know.
First, any specific.
Hair loss is not one of life's more enjoyable experiences. If you're looking to fill in your hairline or reverse years of hair loss, DiStefano Hair Restoration will create a result that will be a transformative experience. The result of my IGT procedure was quite remarkable. I now have fuller, thicker hair so I can even wear it a bit longer. There are a few major decisions I've made in my life that I wish I did sooner. My hair restoration is number one. It was by far one of the best moves I've ever made. My hair looks awesome, and the confidence from having a full head of hair again has left me feeling great. I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now when I look in the mirror, I see the new me with a full head of thick hair. For information on how to make the same choice I did, go to hairman.com/Howie. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? Get the hair you've always wanted. hairman.com/Howie.
You ever noticed how Charlie Baker's becoming very recognizable these days?
I think that the most important thing we need to do at this point in time is recognize the importance of recognizing and understanding, which is why we recognize and understand that in addition to recognizing the investments, and we absolutely recognize and understand that every one of these decisions, folks in law enforcement can incorporate recognizing and understanding issues like that into the way they engage with people, focusing on recognizing spending money, because we recognize that many people in public life recognize or appreciate. Recognizing and understanding that there's more than one way to recognize and understand. We all have to continue to recognize and understand, be smart and recognize and understand, and start thinking about it as a game that recognizes and understands that for people to continue to recognize and understand that.
Grace Curley. She's working for you.
I'm like Bette Midler and For the Boys. Gotta keep the troops entertained.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Grace Curley Show. We're here at the 110 Grill in Woburn, and we are kicking off the weekend in style. We were having the best time. I want everyone to give themselves a big round of applause for showing up to the 110 Grill, getting a free book, and having some fun. I am now joined for the car crossover, which is brought to you by Exit Realty. With locations all over New England, Exit Realty has you covered. To learn more about the Exit Realty difference, go to exitrealty.com/New England. Howard Lawrence Carr.
I can't hear anything.
How are you doing, my good man? Oh, we're having a technical difficulty?
Technical difficulties.
Are we back? Do you got it?
I don't hear anything. That's the thing.
Okay, well, you know what?
We're fixing. Well, it may take a while.
Okay, well, can I ask you one question?
Sure.
How are you feeling about the fact that Bruce Springsteen doesn't want you to go to... Actually, you might be able to go because you didn't get AstraZeneca.
I didn't get AstraZeneca.
So you can go to the Bruce Springsteen musical. How lovely is that, Howard? You can actually go to Bruce Springsteen.
I don't understand that he was drinking in a national park, right, while he was on a motorcycle?
Yes.
But now he's somewhat concerned about other people's public health problems and becoming menaces to public health?
Yeah, I know. It's almost like if Andrew Cuomo's brother was lecturing us about COVID.
Right. I mean, I don't mind him drinking vodka or tequila, whatever he was drinking, but I mean, he was doing it in a national park on a motorcycle.
I know. And now he's worried about what brand of vaccine you got. It takes virtue signaling to a whole new level when you're like, not only did you get vaccinated, but what kind of vaccine did you get? Like, that's when you need a hobby, Bruce. You start writing more music or something.
Right. That won't be necessary.
Okay, you're right. I don't want to give him any ideas. Howie, what do you got coming up on the show?
We got a lot of stuff going on. I think we're going to talk about Ronnie Jackson. You know, you wrote the column about, do you really think Joe Biden is all there? It looks like Ronnie Jackson, the former White House physician and now congressman from Texas, was reading your column.
Thank you. Thank you, Ronnie.
Ronnie Jackson, House Republicans call for Joe Biden cognitive assessment.
Yeah, I do think it's time. I wrote about this for Spectator. Everyone can check that out at spectator.us. It's just, we talk a lot about reality and, being fact-based and finding the truth. The truth is this man is not all there anymore.
Yeah. And Grace, you know what I made a copy of? I took the test again this morning on WVOM, Voice of Maine.
Very good.
I have some. I have a couple of copies. I'm going to ask you a few of the questions.
You are?
Yes.
During Grace's News?
Well, yes, during Grace's News.
Oh, I'm nervous. I didn't study.
That won't be necessary. The only thing that will be necessary is for you not to study before Grace's News.
Okay, I will not study before, and I will not have any of Bruce Springsteen's tequila either. All right, we'll be right back, guys, with Howie Carr's show. I'm Grace, and you've been listening to The Grace Curley Show.
This is Toby from Cape Gunworks. If you're looking to get your gun license, we've added tons of LTC classes, including ladies only and couples classes. Plus, visit us any Tuesday for free gun rentals on the range. Don't forget to listen to Rapid Fire every Saturday night at 7 p.m. on WXDK or on the iHeartRadio app. We'll be talking everything guns, freedom, and self-defense. Sponsored